It's me, that bitch, back at it again. I actually started early today, but you know what? I forgot to hit go live again until a minute just before. So, I'm timely, kind of. Are you sure? Wait. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I think. So, brothers, what is poppin'? What do we got cooking today, boys? Is your computer still alive? Yeah, for the most part. Yellow? What are you? An old man on the phone? Yellow. Casually gonna eat ramen while witnessing greatness. Greatness? Gee willies. Gorsh Mickey. So, if y'all were around for last night just before ending the stream, I asked what to do, and we are getting asparagus today. We are getting asparagus. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna aspare my gas. Greatness is a stretch. Anyway, we don't know when it'll crash. It hasn't happened every day. There's been a couple of days we've survived. Just a couple, though. Alright, so I also got a little video pulled up for us to listen to today. And I'm gonna give you a little explanation of sorts. Alright. There is a series on, I think it was Discovery Plus, called Skinwalker Ranch. Please raise your hand if you are familiar with that series. Anyone? Anyone? If it's turkey time, I swear to God, God, no. No. So, I used to watch that show. I'm an expert in that topic. So, they've had, what, like 4 or 5 seasons or something? And the premise is there is a highly strange area in Utah, in the Uinta Basin, that has some strange phenomena, and it's been dubbed the Skinwalker Ranch because of the strange phenomena. And so some billionaires in the past have bought this property and tried to research it scientifically, right? And most recently, like in the past, they were doing this privately and were in cahoots with the government, right? But now they're doing it kind of publicly via the show, and so they have all these experts who are on this team, and they try to explore all these different weird things, and yeah. But you also have to keep in mind that this is like a serialized TV show, so it has its faults, right? Because they want to keep you glued in. They want to make good episodes. They want to serialize this shit. So there is a guy who is interviewed by a podcast called Area 52. I've never heard of them before. Um, but this guy he's on the Skinwalker team. He's not like the main guy with the redneck accent. He's another scientist. He's a biologist, and his specialty is like animals and flora and fauna, basically. Skinwalkie multiples. I mean, they don't really allude to anything actually Skinwalker related, as far as I'm aware, that we know of. It's just the what the ranch is named, but it's a highly strange area, and this dude had a interview, and I think it was interesting. So I am going to subject you to this interview against your will with a gun pointed at your head while I try to 3D model a whole ass asparagus. Shut up. Shut up. Oops. Get forward. Back it up. Fuck! Hi, Spartan. Hope you're well.
Walker
Oh, it was
legacy as
muted.
far as the television show goes, but also behind the scenes doing a lot of the biological testing.
Yes.
Namely experiments with birds as well, and just looking at the land. I mean, we're going to talk about so many different facets of this fascinating geographical area that's been enigmatic to say the least, and that I think so many people are really invested in, partially, I think mainly due to the television series, but also the books, the lore, the stories, the hitchhiker effect, the cattle mutilations, the tie to Bob Bigelow. There's so much history here. This is a mecca, or at least another sort of
Mecca.
Bermuda Triangle in the UFO sphere. So I want to thank you for coming all the way down from Utah today, and welcome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be out.
Great.
Does Area
I
52 hide
can't wait to
skinwalkers
get
as
into some
opposed
of
to
this
what
stuff.
Area
I've been
51
biting my
has?
tongue. We went out
I
for
don't
breakfast
know.
this morning, and
I don't have the
was,
answers for you
kind of
yet.
like pulling my punches. I didn't want to, I didn't want to get through all the things that I wanted to ask you. But for viewers at home that might be sort of introduced to this topic, perhaps a little more recently, can you give us a general sort of gestalt on what is
Gestalt.
Skinwalker Ranch?
So I guess, you would say it's an area of high strangeness, but that's a pretty nebulous term. So it has a history going back thousands of years. The native people in the land there, the Native American tribes going way back, have a
Roots.
rich history of very anomalous things, from portals opening up to, skinwalkers themselves. The term skinwalker is actually a Navajo term, Dene, the Navajo tribe, the Dene tribe. And it is kind of come to evolve to be a broader thing. Anything weird, anything strange, anything anomalous, say, oh, it's a skinwalker. But that's not the origins of it. But the ranch itself has had, since ancient times, it's had strange things. It's had prehistoric animals appearing, which doesn't, I'm just reporting what's been said. It's had, UFOs, and well documented at least since the 1990s. But people even much earlier, going back, all kinds of strange things. Like I said, portals opening up,
Poltergeist activity,
poltergeist, ghost
mutilations,
cattle mutilations, and beings, people seeing beings and hearing voices,
Seeing
speaking many different
beings.
languages. So a wide range of things. And then the government got involved in the 90s and has really been involved ever since. They're not officially now, but they still are.
Well, so they were involved initially with NIDS, or the scientists that were there looking at it. Namely, you had Bob Bigelow, you had Hal Puthoff, you had a lot of these sort of heavy hitters in this area looking at this place, buying the farm first of all, or the property off of the family who had it there previously, who had all these anomalous things happen to them. And then out of interest, Bob Bigelow, I think, was funded for this, or
Yeah, partially funded. Yeah.
partially funded.
Yeah, partially funded. There was some Senator Harry Reid got some funding for it, and so it was researched, by the government contracted. And then eventually they took over completely. The Shermans were still living on the ranch at first, and eventually the government completely took over through the 90s and early 2000s. And there's a lot of things that, people who were on those early teams, they allude to, but I think there's a lot that we, the current team, have not been told. So, but all the information back then, it was all analog. It was like our ability to capture data has exponentially grown since. And so what we're doing now, I think, far exceeds what was done back then. I don't know because we don't have all of that data. But from the sound of it, I mean, if you're just having VHS that you're recording things with compared to now, where we have, everything from mass spectrometers to, LiDAR that we can shoot through things and drones. I mean, digital footage. It's incredible what we're capturing now.
Do you think that there is some merit to capturing it in an analog way, though? Because it seems like the phenomenon itself messes with things that are digital.
I think it does, but I hate saying this, but I have to say it. The ranch operates as if it is self-aware, as if it has a consciousness. Maybe it does. Even if it doesn't, it operates that way. Kind of like genetics. Genes operate as though we say, oh, this is the genetic motivation. Well, genes, as far as we know, don't have a motivation, but they operate in the way that they do. So we phrase it. The ranch, whether it's actually self-aware or not, it operates as though it
appears
does.
to be.
And what I see is that during the Bigelow era, it was kind of given a little friction, and then it kind of died down. And then
friction.
during this new era, it gave friction at first, and we gave friction back, and some rough things happened in the beginning. And then it was kind of like, okay, all right, fine, I'm going to teach you. It's like the phenomenon is like, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to mess with your digital devices, but learn from that and then do a better experiment. It's almost like it's a trickster spirit, like a trickster energy, but it's trying to teach you and move the ball forward. It's almost like you idiots are just going to keep coming back. All right, okay, I'm going to teach you some things.
So to any skeptical person out there, this sounds like a lot of woo-woo stuff. Like this initially, when you hear this stuff coming from someone like yourself, and you have a clear history in studying biology and paleontology and all this stuff, to hear someone like you of your caliber say, "Oh, but there's like a trickster energy," that does sound a little.
I'm making an Aquarius.
What's an example that you can give that's like
Yeah.
a concrete, like, oh,
Hi,
here's just one of many that'll help you understand what I'm trying to say?
As far as the ranch seems to give you what you want. If you come in there with a lot of bravado, people get attacked. People collapse. People fall over. People get their heart attacked. People get their mind attacked. But if you come in and just kind of have an attitude of like, I'd like to learn, then it seems the phenomenon will show you what your field of science wants. Now, I understand. You could say the opposite. You could say, well, that's your field of science. So, of course, you're going to notice those kind of things. I'm aware of that. But even factoring that in, it seems to show you that.
So it's like amplifying what's already in your mind kind of thing?
Like it's aware, and it will show you.
Fine, just heard I see.
Dead stuff. Anytime I'm going to come on the ranch, dead animals are going to give you so much information. And, we even had one time where the producer of the show and I walked out when I just showed up, and boom, there was 2 dead quail sitting right in front of us. And we were both we start laughing. We're like, okay, Ben showed up. Here's dead quail. Both of them, the beaks open up like this, right? Both of them had the upper mandible bashed in, but the lower mandible was still in place, which if they ran into something, those would both be broken. They were dead. They sat on the ground all week, summer heat. They were 2 feet away. I've got footage of this, 2 feet away from a fire ant hill. The fire ants wouldn't touch it. And they stayed floppy for that whole week. So we ended up freezing them. And so it's like, well, Ben's here. Here's dead animals. That's what you always want. Here's some fresh dead animals for you.
There's something deeply ironic about spending all this time talking about...
Shut up, advertisement.
And at the gate, I look over and there's a dead rabbit sitting there. And I thought, okay. And in those days, I was nervous to take photos and document because I was very cautious about things. And now I film everything. So I snapped a few pictures, and every day coming back, it was still there, and we checked it. Floppy, no ants, no gastrointestinal swelling, no bloating, no scavengers bothered it, no ants, no flies, nothing. It didn't smell. And I was there, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 days that week, that first week, And then the last day I went, it was gone, and it was all sand near it. No tracks, nothing had scavenged. It was just gone. That same first week, we found a skunk, and it looked like a taxidermy skunk. It looked like it was happy. It was just like this dead skunk. We documented it there for 3 years. It was untouched. It didn't rot. It didn't disintegrate. It smelled a little bit like a skunk, but no rot stink. And then finally,
For 3 years?
3 years. And so finally, Eric Bard and I.
Is that
That's impossible. That's impossible. You have decomposers. When you die, you have internal bacteria that starts to, you're like, oh, I'm not getting a food source anymore. So it starts to eat your stomach lining, off gassing, and that's where you get the bloating. But you also have external decomposers that start to break you down. None of that happened. And so Eric Bard and I said, well, it's been 3 years. Let's film a little blurb on it. So him and I, just on his phone, we filmed a thing of it and turned it over and examined it. The next day, we came out. It was gone, and in its place was a perfectly decomposed like arm of like probably like a prairie dog, like a large rodent, not a skunk. And a chunk of that skunk fur was wedged up on the side of the old ruins of the Homestead 2 there. Almost like it's like, oh, you think I can't decompose? Blam, here's a decomposed hand. And here's a little, and nobody else, you can't get on the ranch. You can't just drive on. We were the only ones there. It's just Eric and I. So did Eric in the middle of the night go and get rid of the skunk and put a prairie dog leg there and wedge this thing up there? So what we found is that small animals don't decompose. Rigor mortis doesn't set in. They never bloat. If they're in the water, they will. But if they're on land, they don't. They just stay floppy. And
This is all animals without exception, all small animals without exception?
birds, birds and mammals and one frog. We've had weird things with the fish too, which that's a separate issue
It's like
too.
a good lullaby.
But yeah, so small animals, if you're like coyote sized or smaller, if you die on the ranch, you don't decompose. We've had some things like we had a bird called an oriole, and they brought me this oriole, and it was the legs. You got skin and scales on the legs, right? And when we did a necropsy, open it up, there was just gaps. And I'll send you a picture, a drawing I did. And it was just like bone empty, bone empty, bone empty down the whole leg. It was just chunks missing. That bird would not
That's
be alive
weird.
if that was the case. And there were just these gaps.
Of marrow?
Just like no tendon, muscle, or bone. And then tendon, muscle, and bone. No tendon, muscle.
Everything was gone.
But the leg
except for the skin.
Yeah, the skin and the scales on the outside were there. And so we open it up, and it's like, that's impossible. And no decomposer would do that. No dermestid beetles wouldn't do that, because tendon and bone, it doesn't make sense. So that one messed me up. So another one we found on the ranch, a starling, and I think this was on the TV show. And this starling was squishy and stayed that way for like
What's
months.
a starling? It's a bird?
It's a little bird. It's in the Mina family. They're from Europe. People brought them over.
Okay.
And they're about the size like a robin, bigger than a sparrow, but it was squishy to the touch. Stayed that way forever. So I took it off the ranch. Once it was off the ranch, it started to decompose, and the skull looked like it had blown up from the inside. And Eric pointed that out. He's like, there looks like some sort of energetic thing that popped
Why
out.
does it look
Well,
sussed off?
skull,
It's not sus. It's a
it
perfectly
started to smell at home. Never did on the
asparagus
ranch.
asparagus.
So is it because it's on the ranch that it doesn't decompose?
Right?
Well, all these weird bubbles started to form. It looked like a metallic bubble, and it was almost like a bubble, which start. And I got tweezers, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab this. Pop. It pops, no residue. And I'm like, oh, that's strange. Another one forms. And they kept forming. And finally, I'm like, every time this is popping, nobody's going to believe me. So I snapped a few photos, and I'll show you some photos of that too. But it's like, I don't know what that stuff was, but it didn't happen until this dead bird was taken off the ranch. But before that, even when it was fresh
Why
off
is
the
that
ranch,
tilted on a
squishy
pike?
and floppy. It's
Man.
insane.
That's
Weird
that's
toolkit.
definitely insane. I want to just interject with something that maybe I should have said at the beginning, but when you reached out to me, you were kind of pretty happy that you were able to talk about some of these things,
Mhm.
because previously
Vaseline.
You'd had to sign some NDAs about a lot of
We
this
should start from
information
the top.
due to the
Actually,
nature of because they might be using it in future seasons, or it's proprietary information that you were hired and you were. Um, but is there, so now that you're released of this, partially released of some of that information, there is still information that you can't talk about.
Absolutely.
Is that information that you can't talk about related to just like breakthrough findings in science, and or is it related to more like proprietary info, or is it related to security?
It's more of security and things that we've witnessed. The things that I've gotten permission to talk about, there's a lot that I can't talk about in my fields.
That you can't?
Cannot.
Okay.
And there's a lot that I cannot, that are in other people's fields who've been on the ranch that we've witnessed. And even just some of the things I can loosely talk about, like seeing a UFO on the ranch is commonplace. I mean, I've got footage that one day, and I did ask
not the
Brandon not to talk
Vaseline,
about this one,
dude.
but we were filming at the end of the day, and we had been in the river. Everybody was exhausted. I mean, it was like 1,000,000 degrees all day, humid, and we were just all dead. It was the middle of the night, and we all have to drive like a half an hour to get back into town. And I look over, I'm like, you guys, there's a UFO, and I'm talking to the film crew. Do you guys want to film this?
What do you mean by UFO?
Like it came over, a big bright orb, not distant, like big enough, way bigger than a star or the space station or something, bigger than that. And it came over and to the west, from the west, and it came over, and it was kind of like hovering, being in place, moving. And I'm like, you guys, you want to film that? And they're like, no, we're just. I'm like, I mean, UFO, and they're like, it's okay. So I grabbed a couple shots and grabbed a little footage of it. It's like it's that commonplace on the ranch.
I don't
To
like how
have
the little
something come
flaky
over.
parts look.
And so usually they only document it, and I mean, it's always documented. Like there's cameras 24/7. But as far as the boots on the ground, if it's not part of an experiment, it might not get the attention it deserves.
So you saying that there's like this whole catalog of anomalous UAP footage that they're not releasing?
It just hasn't been gone through.
Hasn't been gone through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now they have like the Skinwalker Ranch Insiders, where people can help, can sign up and can help go through some of the footage real time, which has been kind of nice because people will find stuff and then they'll bring it up to some of us on the team and say, what do you think about this? So because there's just so much going on.
You had alluded to government involvement, limited government involvement, or at least interest still in the ranch. Have you witnessed any of that?
They told me when I first started, they said, hey, officially, the government isn't officially involved, but they are still interested both behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. And, Travis Taylor was on the UAP task force. And it's like, and he even reported some of the anomalies back to the government, broke an NDA because of this might be a national security issue. So, but they told me when I started, they said, hey, just be aware, it's possible that you might have the government listening to your phone calls or checking your emails. So just be careful what you say. Follow your NDAs that you've signed. So they were casual about it. That wasn't like a threat or a warning, but they said, and we've seen on the ranch. I mean, the government will fly over. The government has done grids. We've seen with airplanes over the ranch
And helicopters too.
Helicopters coming in, yeah, and Black Hawk helicopters coming in, and then even when you have congressmen in Utah trying to follow up on it, can't get direct answers. It's like, you should be able to get a direct answer about that.
Do you think Brandon is involved at that level? Like, I mean, obviously he owns the place. He's got a lot of money. Do you think someone like him would be regularly debriefing some faction of the government?
He tells them Brandon is the coolest guy on earth. He is such an awesome guy, and he's sincere. He's intelligent, and he works his butt off more than anybody I know. He's actually passionate about real estate, like legitimately.
Yeah,
so
he's a mogul in that field,
and he loves it. It's not about money. He loves doing that, and so this is his side thing. That it's like, I want answers, and he really wants answers, and so he has really done a lot of networking, getting certain government officials together and like, look, hey, we need to be paying attention to this. We need to be addressing this. So he's briefed people. I know he has, and he's been instrumental in trying to move this conversation forward, which I have the
how it can make
maddest
us look
respect for.
better.
I mean, that was at the potential risk of his career,
or more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think though that like the involvement of the government is a net positive or a net negative? Because it depends, you know, there are two sides to this. Some parts of the government seem like they can't wait to talk about it.
Mhm.
But then you hear about the seedy underside that kind of covers everything up.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
see a concern there? Or?
there might be. I mean, we get our phones hacked while we're on the ranch. You'll just be sitting there and all of a
Do
sudden
I
something
do I
opens up
want to
your
do the
phone. It's like
leafy
going
bits
through
or
everything.
just
No way.
Oh yeah,
mm,
that happens to everybody on the ranch. And
man.
some people, it ruins their phones. I've had my phone hacked twice. I've never had it. But is that the phenomenon, or is that our government? Is that another government? I don't know. We've
Could
had audio things happen
Homelander
where we're just sitting
beat
there and all of a
Skinwalker
sudden
Ranch?
you hear like a double echo
Now that's
coming
a
back
show I would
over all
watch.
around the room, and it's like okay, well, clearly somebody's tapping in and recording. Maybe it's like the NSA kind of thing. I don't know. And maybe it's the phenomenon doing it. I don't know that, but I think the government. I don't know for sure. This is speculation. I get the impression that the government did a lot of work in the 90s, and now that Brandon's here and trying to do work and is answering to the government and getting the government involved, I think the government's like, well, hey, let's just from the sidelines let them do the work.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
just costing us nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point. Okay, let's get back to some of the stuff you are allowed to talk about.
Okay.
And some of these more bizarre cases involving mammals. So we've gone through the fowl, we've gone through the rabbit. What's next on this chain?
So cattle, the cattle are cattle mutilations.
Well, before we get to cattle, like we're working our way up.
All right.
There was a wolf.
Yeah. So so that this involves a cow too.
Okay.
So
So
on daylight cameras, a UFO on what we call the path of the skinwalker, this north south running line where all these anomalous things always happen along this fence line. UFO shows up, there's a cow in the shade underneath, and buckles and dies. UFO goes away. This is season 1 of the TV show. It's like, why aren't we talking about this all the time? They brought me in, I don't know, a few weeks, a month later, and that thing had contorted in what we call the dinosaur death pose. Normally, a mammal, when they die, they go into the fetal position. The tendons dry out this way. This thing went spiraled all crazy. So they brought me out, and I found that something had bit with its tooth through one of the ribs. And I took that rib and measured it, and it matched up to either a dire wolf or a jaguar. I checked a whole bunch of teeth. Now it doesn't mean
Are you
that's what
sure?
it is. But
It's
I
an
just said, okay, it
asparagus and
doesn't
not a
match a regular
staff.
wolf, doesn't match a coyote, doesn't match
Bigger than a regular wolf.
bigger than a regular
I'm
wolf.
trying my best out
And
here.
I took a rib and went and tested through and took the next rib over and tested like bite force, and even with a black bear tooth, and even that it shattered. So whatever it was had a lot of power, because normally carnivores, if they're going to bite a rib, they use their molars and they bite off a side to get the marrow, and they'll chomp, chomp, chomp. They don't use front canines. That's going to break them. So it bit clean through, poked it right through, made a conchoidal fracture. And so from that, we had this thought, probably not a dire wolf, but okay. But then people, even from the Sherman era in the 90s, claimed that they had seen these big giant wolves and that they had attacked things and, had attacked the dogs on the ranch and
That
stuff.
was the original sort of depiction of a skinwalker itself, was like this half man, half wolf type.
Yeah, like shapeshifter kind of thing. Yeah, these big giant wolves. And on the ranch, the same thing. They were telling me, like in the 90s, there was a couple stories of kind of like dinosaur like things, like velociraptor type things that
For
people
fuck's
said.
sake.
But there was a lot more of mammals. And they said, oh yeah, there's a dino beaver they said they saw. Oh, and they were laughing about it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like a beaver, like 300 pounds. And I said, well, we had those here during the Ice Age 10,000 years ago. And I had brought out a skull and showed them. I'm like, here it is. It's Castorides. This is giant. They're like, wait, that was actually real? It's like, yes. So the question is, so a lot of these things that people were seeing seem to be Ice Age animals, which is the time right before us. We're still coming out of the Ice Age. So it's like, okay, well, did you see, is there a portal opening up that's letting these things through? So with the wolf, they were going along the river doing a totally different experiment, and they found it's painful to watch. They found this thing, and it had rotted properly, even though it was a wolf thing, a canine for sure. A canine had massive fangs, oversized fangs, and they said, we ought to get this for Ben, but it stinks so bad. Let's just hack off the jaw and bring it to Ben. So they showed it to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, go get the rest of it. They went to get the rest of it. Most of it, the skull and Washdown River, they got me the rest of the skeleton that they could get. But the jaw, I'm like, the number of teeth it has and the size and shape and the robustness matches a dire wolf. That doesn't mean that's what it is, but that's...
Yeah, we have a big wolf on our hands.
Big wolf on our hands that shouldn't be here. And
on our
Did
paws.
that match up to the bite marks?
It did. It did. It was the same size, same shape. And so we're like, well, we can do a DNA test. So we sent...
Heard a Canadian accent there for a second.
DNA sample, we send the tooth to Colossal Bioscience, which is the leading, genetics lab in the world right now. They're the ones bringing back
the dire wolf.
Yeah, and they're working on bringing back mammoths and stuff.
Sure.
And so they have like every canine in the world.
When was this?
3 years ago, maybe 4. I don't know.
Okay, you weren't responsible for them bringing back the dire wolf.
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. They say otherwise.
You gave them the DNA.
Yeah, they have said that they have some other sources that it came from. So, but who knows, right? So, but when it came back, the results came back, and it was funny because we were filming our response to it, and we had the whole team on. It was like a big old call, and Brandon was on. And all of us were yelling and fighting and swearing, not at each other, but at science. We were angry about science, about this. And like the producers are like, we should have just used this instead, because this was like the most entertaining TV we've seen, because we were so mad about. So the results came back. And basically 90%, 89%, basically 90% of it is a non-existent wolf species. So the remaining 10% is a Eurasian gray wolf and Greenland gray wolf. Those do not live in Utah. Those are not in the United States. Though that alone should be a story, right? What's a Greenland? They're separated.
Yeah, that alone is anomalous.
So why are they there? But Colossal said, and I think they're trying to save their professionalism. They said, well, from this we can, confidently declare this as being a gray wolf. And I'm like, 10% of it is a gray wolf. What about the other 90%? 90% is the bulk of it. If your dog was 10% Chihuahua and the rest of it was wolf, you would say this is a wolf, right? You wouldn't say this is a Chihuahua. It's like 90% of this is a new wolf. And they put it on their list, and they just put it down as mystery. They didn't want to declare it. They didn't want to call it a dire wolf. They didn't want to call it anything else. And they have like every cane. They even have Papuan singing dogs genetically sequenced.
And then fast forward a few years later, they're making a dire wolf.
Then they're making a dire wolf. Yeah,
seems a little suspicious.
It's suspicious. They say it's from some other sources, but I don't know, because I'm not on that end of things.
That's a massive coincidence.
Yeah. It's at least noteworthy. If nothing else, it's noteworthy.
Oh, definitely noteworthy.
And again, the fact, if you're saying this is just a gray wolf, but only 10% of the DNA is a gray wolf, and it's gray wolves that shouldn't be in Utah. So what is this 90%? What is this other wolf? Isn't that even more exciting than it being a dire wolf?
Especially for them to go, oh no, it's not a dire wolf. And then they immediately make a dire wolf.
It's suspicious.
That to me would raise a few flags for sure. Okay, all right. Well, that's incredibly anomalous and seems substantial and important. And yet, still not sufficient to say, oh, this is like we don't have any provenance of this. Like where do they come from? Is this a one-off somehow that survived? Is it a portal, like you said? Is it, there's a lot of these speculative questions that occur around these anomalies that seem to go unanswered.
Yeah.
All right, moving forward, we now go to cattle, I guess, because this is kind of related. It bit into one of these. Now, the cow that it bit into,
that was the one that got killed by the UFO.
Now, on camera, and this footage exists?
Yeah,
Have I
it's
seen
on
this?
season 2.
Okay, I've probably seen
Or
this
season
then.
1, season 1.
Um,
And it's so far back, so many other things happened. People are like, "Oh yeah, wait, yeah, this did
yeah.
happen.
Oh,
We
there's
did see a UFO hover over a cow and kill it." It's like that's big, but we've had other cattle too. Like the if you ever watch the show, there's this calf. And earlier in the day, it was fine. Thomas Winterton saw it running around. It was fine with all the other calves. And then all of a sudden, all the cattle just, including its mother, all back away on either side, and it's running around
This
in
guy makes some
circles,
funny
going
sound
crazy.
effects.
And normally, if that happens, a mother is going to come along and like, "Hey, I'm here for you. What's going on?" And even the mother backed away. And its eyes had whited over.
Curious about their
Its
diet
brain
though,
had
or
been
if
like
it's the same as the
scrambled. They
other
got it off the
wolves.
ranch. It's permanently
Interesting
blind now,
question.
but it's okay. It's healthy. It's recovered. But they said it looked like something energetically had affected its brain. A cow that just seems to die. Cow that just seems to die. They do normally seem to decompose normally. The one that the UFO seemed to have killed, that one,
Forgive
it
me, bro.
did
It looks like it
decompose
disconnected
normally,
for a second.
except for there were no dermestid beetles. So once you get to a certain level of decomposition,
yeah.
I don't care.
Small insects
Yeah,
will take control.
you put a chicken bone in your yard, and within a week, you're going to have dermestid beetles that show up out of nowhere. There were no dermestid beetles, and there was some species of green, shiny, decomposing beetle that I had not, until I researched it, known that that species existed in Utah, but no dermestids. And there's dermestids on the ranch.
Yeah. But
But
they would just avoid it.
yeah,
As well as, I guess, any other small critter.
yeah. So it seems like it did break down, like the gastrointestinal bacteria did break that thing down, but the spine just, the tendons just contorted it in these weird. And again, we in paleontology and paleobiology we call that the dinosaur death pose, but the cow did that perfectly, just like it's wild looking. You see it. I'll send you pictures.
When you say the dinosaur death pose, is that because of the fossils that we see of these like?
Yeah. So the tendons on dinosaurs and birds, they can when the tendons start to dry on birds and dinosaurs, they contort this way. Mammals contort in the fetal position.
I see.
And this cow contorted like a dinosaur,
like a bird.
Yeah, like a bird.
Strange. What do you think? What do you speculate a human body would look like if it had a decomposed skinwalker, and if perhaps one already has, but obviously there's, ancient burial grounds around there. But what would your suspicion be?
I don't know, but my question is, do these things because they're on the ranch or because they're from the ranch?
I see.
So what I want to do a test
on the ranch or from the ranch,
and see how does that decompose,
and then bring one from there and have it die somewhere else.
Yeah.
Has that not been done? Have you guys not imported any dead bodies into the ranch?
Not
I feel
yet.
like that's like an oversight. I feel like you guys should be.
It's more just busy. Just normally, that's on the list of things to do.
Sure, yeah.
That's
they're
been
too
on
busy
for 2
shooting
years.
rockets for the
That is something
30th
we want
time.
to do some on site. Same thing with some mushroom experiments.
Paleontology videos. Paleontology is
things and microbes.
super
take
interesting.
Microbes on the ranch, grow them off. Take off the ranch, grow them on. But it's just so busy, and
I mean, it's the scientific side of all this is why I like
things, and so
listening to the show.
Finding time to fit the small stuff in.
I suppose, yeah, that's exciting. There's a lot of things to do and a lot of hands in the pot as well. From people studying the science, the physics, the archaeology, the landscape. There's lots to look at. In terms of animals, there are some other anomalous stories. One that you sort of told me over breakfast about a falcon. Can you tell me about that?
Don't say it.
I always find it funny when people get
Don't
worried about
where's the skip
secret
button?
government files.
Where's the skip button?
Simultaneously, they post their entire lives.
Shut up.
Your data. Go to incogni.com/area52 and use code area52 to save 60% on an annual plan.
Use code area
because
52.
your privacy should not be declassified.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring some bioindicator species, and we're very cautious about this. And some people immediately attack and say, how dare you bring animals onto the ranch? And that's dangerous. It's like, well, humans are animals, and we're on the ranch, and there's wild animals on the ranch too. So in one sense, it's sixes. We're all at risk, right? But we're very cautious about it. So first I brought on owls. I brought a great horned owl and some barn owls, and they would see Owls have three-dimensional hearing.
Man,
Their ears, one's pointed up, one's pointed
barn
down. These things
owls
aren't the ears.
are cute.
Ears are openings under the feathers, and they have three-dimensional hearing.
They're
We'd bring
so
them on
they're
the
so
ranch, and
interesting to
they
me.
bob, and they just like they're focusing in on things that were not there. When we're out in the helicopter field and the east field, they would just like, oh, and we just documented them seeing things. So I'm going to bring an owl out again this year. Then we said, well, let's try flying some falcons. So we brought out a couple peregrine
This
falcons,
I think is
and
interesting right
they
here.
each
This
had
part.
on a radio transmitter and a three-dimensional GPS transmitter. So two different, totally different ways of measuring things. So we first went and we're like, let's fly through the triangle. So Eric and I went up on the hill, and the triangle is this anomalous zone on the ranch where crazy things happen. So I had my friend down below calling the falcon in, and while Eric and I were on the hill, the 3D GPS says we're bouncing up in the air and jumping all over the place, and we're just standing there. And so it's already wigging out. When the bird flew through the triangle, as it went through the triangle, the radio transmitter flared up both times. And then once the bird was on the ground, my buddy was picking it up, it said that he was like Spock in fast motion, just like, and he was just sitting there. So we did that twice. I thought, okay, that's kind of weird. Let's go to the
Jack
east field. So we went to the
Horner.
east field. We start flying the
Try to turn
falcon,
chickens into more
flying up,
dinosaur-like
doing good. We're like,
birds.
okay, this is interesting. Let's call it back down. It comes back
Don't
down,
know if I
and
recall.
we have a lure. It's like a fake bird. You swing around, you put it on the ground, the bird
Did he
lands, and you
succeed?
go pick
That's
him
the
up.
most important question.
So my buddy does that, and right as it gets by the ground, it freaks out. It's like, ah, and it kind of like panics every time and goes back up a bit and goes to come back down. Something on the ground was repelling it. It was something repulsed it from going down. So it freaked out. It started going up, going up, going up, and it got to about 800 feet, and the GPS blips start missing. It's like beep, 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 and keeps going up, keeps going up. We're filming, the TV crew is filming, and all of a sudden the bird disappears. We're like, what? My buddy's like, my falcon, where'd it go? And then on the GPS, it reappears over the triangle, which is about a mile away. And so we go running over there.
How long of a time between?
Instantly,
Instantly.
immediately.
Impossible.
Impossible. And now and when it disappeared, no GPS, no radio signal. The second it reappears, the radio transmitter is working 100% correctly. We can see the bird, radio transmitter is working. The GPS is now mirroring the bird's motions, but it's
In the wrong
off.
place.
It's in the wrong place. And when we got the bird back and pulled up the data,
No.
it said the bird went
Oh man, I
through
want
the
to see a
mesa,
tiny T-Rex.
Whoa.
which is impossible. And it's important to note, if you follow this stuff, if you watch the TV show, where the bird went in the mesa, we have at night a white orb that goes into the mesa at that same spot. And there's another season where Brandon's flying in the helicopter at sunset, still daylight, and a white orb comes out of the mesa below him. That is the same place where the falcon went in and where the falcon reappeared. So you got to piece those things together. Maybe they're related, maybe they're not. The falcon, 100% fine. It was kind of like, oh, a little alarmed, but it was fine, healthy. The bird's alive and happy today, still being flown.
That's incredible.
But that's impossible. They didn't put it on the show just because sometimes you'll put it later on in the season, or you'll put it in the next season and like, oh, it was this season. But there were some people in those shots that aren't on the show anymore. And so like, oh, well, now we can't do this. And I'm like, this is really important.
Yeah, it should still be released. You don't have access to that footage?
I have access to the GPS. I have the GPS data, which I have. I bet I can get permission to share that, but I haven't been given permission. I got Brandon gave me permission to share this story because I'm like, this needs to be out there. If it's never going to be on the show, the world needs to know that.
I mean, a teleporting bird is quite substantial, especially if you got it on camera disappearing and then reappearing elsewhere. You know, as a magician, I would, obviously, it's just two identical birds.
Yeah.
It's the old twin trick, the old prestige illusion.
Well, and we also had, when those of us, because I was filming with my Eric Bard was holding my phone and filming, and a lot of us were hand filming. And I know I don't remember who else's, but I know for sure my camera, while it was filming, just shut off and battery 100% dead. And I know a couple other people were having issues while they were filming it right before the bird disappeared. So
Yeah, that
little
seems to be par
details.
for the course there as well. It's just like phones scrambled, like you said, or uncharging or just shutting off or not working.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, very, very strange. What are some of the other things that you were not allowed to talk about previously?
I mean, one of the ones is there seems to be a jaguar on the ranch, and we filmed it also. Which this brings up a lot of different points. So jaguars they ranged all the way to Canada during the Ice Age. People think of a jaguar as being tropical or desert, but they used to range all the way up north. And supposedly, regular jaguars and the Ice Age jaguar, which both lived at the same time, now we only have the one, supposedly, they shouldn't really be any further north than like Arizona, barely, right? But we started seeing on the ranch, Utah is in a 25-year drought. It's just prey populations, animal populations are rock bottom. And all of a sudden on the ranch, all the populations started to explode. Pheasants, quail, magpies, ground squirrels, prairie dogs, jackrabbits, cottontails, turkeys just started to explode, which suggests that a carnivore that eats them, like a coyote, is being kicked out. And we started to find these giant cat prints, which we just assumed, oh, it's a big cougar, something like that. But then we started to also have scat samples that we took, and they had coyote guard hairs in them and raccoons. So something is killing and eating coyotes and killing and eating raccoons. Now, wolves don't eat coyotes, they kill
And
them.
yet
It's
you
kind of like
can
you
get
wouldn't eat
chicken
a
nuggets and dino
chimpanzee. It would
nuggets.
seem weird.
Coincidence? I
We're
think
too
not.
closely related. It's kind of like
I ate a
feeding
T-Rex.
cousin, right? Wolves kill coyotes, but they don't eat them. Whatever this is doing, it's killing and eating coyotes and killing and eating raccoons and hunting from the water. It's going along the little river there, which jaguars do. And then we had the Caleb on the head of security there. He, one of his friends, just off the ranch, filmed, and I've got this footage, black jaguar, and it's shiny, it's reflective. And I've gone to the site and checked the size and shape of all the bush there and everything. It's like it's a daytime black jaguar just off the ranch, and it's like, okay, is this it? Is this the big cat? And people have said, well, if that's the case, okay, is this just a jaguar that's moved up north, really far north, or is this a portal opening up from the past? Is it a modern jaguar? Is it a prehistoric jaguar? Don't know, but it's that should be far bigger news. And I don't know why, but that is not catching. People are not talking about that, and it's like, even if
because we have jaguars.
yeah, so it's
Unfortunately, you could take a Bengal tiger and just drop it in central London, and or you know what I mean, and people would be like, wow, it's just somebody's pet. It wouldn't the significance of it wouldn't resonate with most people, I think. And I think that's part of the issue with a lot of the scientific approach to the phenomenon itself, because in a vacuum, individually, whether it's through geology, paleontology, ancient architecture, physics, like all of these individual platforms will showcase highly anomalous and seemingly groundbreaking truths.
Fighting for my life,
to
brothers.
the general lay audience, it'll just seem like semantics, or like, oh, this is just their jargon, and it's not really relatable or translatable to the general populace, which is why I think they want to see a flying saucer, or they want to see
a
little
giant
green
kitty.
man or
Yeah,
whatever.
giant kitty.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, hey, if
Look
a
over,
UFO
check my
comes
small
over
kitty.
and lands, and a little alien gets out and says hi, that's earth-shattering, but it's not more profound than if you have decomposition halted, almost like the animal is suspended in time. It's like if you have no internal gastrointestinal bacteria doing anything, no external bacteria
Chicken
doing
is about
anything,
as related to
rigor mortis
T-Rex
not
as
setting in, no scavengers bothering it,
Gigantopithecus is to
that is
humans.
breaking the
What is
known laws of
that?
nature and of physics. A UFO coming in saying hi is more amazing, but it's not more profound. You're not breaking anything. That's just whoa.
Bees is
But
brutal.
yet I would rather see that. But this over here is actually far stranger.
More significant.
Yeah. I mean, we don't see it that way, but that's how it actually is.
So, like, it's interesting too to think about this, just because the decomposition, like you said right there, something stuck with me, that it's paused, almost like it's suspended in time. Does that not also affect the living?
We don't know. We have seen issues with time happen. That has been documented on the ranch and even on the show. Small differentiations in time that definitely have happened. There's kind of like a bubble over the ranch. They called it the cone and then the dome, and now they call it the bubble. So there's a region. It's not quite a
No,
mile
I
wide,
need calories.
and
I mean,
not,
it's
it
a lot
doesn't
of bees to
stay.
feed.
It kind of moves a little, give or take 20 feet on either side. But
A
what's
large
really weird
primate.
about
I
this
see.
is, for example, like little things like ants. Who cares about ants? But yeah, these are bioindicator species. Outside of the bubble, ant hills, normal.
Piggy.
It's high piled up silica. Get rid of all the organics. Get rid of the dust. It's only silica, so it's a big old solar panel. Warm up the colony at sunrise. Inside, they make this. I'll send you pictures. Inside, it's this stupid thing. It's not. It's got grass all around it, and in it, it's not even an ant colony. It doesn't look like an ant colony at all, and it would not allow them to warm up. And on the border, the ants are going crazy. They attack you if you are on. We put posts all around the border of this bubble, and we were just there. And these ants started attacking us, and we filmed them. They're just running around in circles, like in this big of an area. They're just like, it's like they're going crazy. They're not harvesting. They're not defending or attacking. They're just going around in circles, like their brains are being fried. And so we're like, oh, let's get away from this area, because if this is happening to them, what's happening to us being right here?
Absolutely. That was my next question. Is like, isn't that what you guys are doing too?
Hi, Batty. I
Going
mean,
around in
Binky.
circles trying to measure this stuff, like it is interesting when you're like, whatever it is you're measuring seems to be
That's what the first bee is for. Is so true.
There's always that sort of philosophical question, or even deeply scientific question of, is anything truly measurable? Because if it knows it's being observed, if it's conscious on some level, then what you're getting is, it's a skew. It's not perfect. So do you think that there's any merit to measuring anything at all there? Like, I mean, because it feels like it's just always appealing to.
You got to have something. You got to have some sort of language, and math and measurements.
Same
are
shit,
kind of
different
pants.
pants.
What we've seen is that all the religious folk are using scientific terms, and all the scientists are using religious terms, because none of us have a vocabulary to describe this stuff. Like if we say, "Hey, a portal," you're going to picture Rick and Morty, right? Warm, a portal opens up. But that's a term that we all know, and that's actually a clunky term. What is this? Some of these portals that happen on the triangle, they seem to not just be point A to point B, and we're measuring them with these different instruments. It's like, is it coming through time? Is it coming through space? What is this? We don't know. So portal is a clunky term. It's a good term because you get the general idea, but we don't know what it is. But we got to have something. And so I agree. The phenomenon is always one step ahead of us. And sometimes it's tricksterish, or occasionally mean, and occasionally it even attacks people. But it also will kind of lead you along, like, hey, look over here. I'm going to teach you a little more. Oh, good job, little monkey. You learn. I'm going to teach you a little more. But you have to have something. And so it may be, okay, like I said, okay, small animals don't decompose, big animals do decompose. If you're in the water, you do seem to decompose. Those
are measurable.
I've put those ground rules on. They might not apply at all. Maybe it's just random. Maybe that's just what I've found in certain instances, and maybe it doesn't apply elsewhere. But I'm just trying to make a framework. That's what we're trying to do. It
seems like that's the toughest thing to do there. Because even creating a framework based on what we already know doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, because we grew up with certain rules of nature, rules of physics.
How many dinos will be related to fish and birds?
So what are the rules then? You don't know. And how do you take a measurement if you say, okay, this is 10 inches long? Well, if an inch isn't actually an inch, and sometimes an inch is 3 inches, it's like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. So that's what it's like.
So from your own personal knowledge and your own personal speculation, what's in the Mesa?
Uh,
Is that something you can talk about?
I can't talk much about it. I can talk some about what's on the show. It doesn't make sense. Well, I will say this. I think I'm okay. I'm okay. I think I'm okay to say this. If you watch if you go on Google Earth and Google Maps and look over the years, and if you watch the show, so I'm just sharing what you should be able to see publicly. The Mesa is that area is sinking in on itself and has been steadily. If when you look at it like first season, it's almost that section is pretty normal, and where the thing is in the Mesa seems to be moving in and noticeably. So watch from season 1 until now, and you'll be like, "Oh, gee."
And that's been discussed?
I don't think it's been discussed on the show, but
Not on the
all of
show,
us,
but
all of us are like, what's going on here? it's
yeah.
it seems to be moving in that area.
Because the Mesa definitely seems to be like the crux of a lot of this activity.
Cthulhu
And
had AIDS.
obviously also a giant
Okay.
accelerator for, you know, the phenomenon, but also for ratings. Like, I mean, let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the mystery stays alive. People tune in every week. They want to see what happens, what's in the Mesa. What percentage of that hype is related to the show wanting to have another season versus, man, there's genuinely something here that we're really interested in, but we don't have the capacity to get in there? Like, what?
It's 100% legitimate. I think people default to what they picture in the head. Like I said, you know, if you say Portal, you picture Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And it's a visual you get, right? And
UFO.
I've seen. I'll tell you later on if you want. I'll tell you a story where I saw a portal, and we witnessed it. Same thing. If you say there's something in the Mesa, what do you probably picture? A UFO. Probably picture some saucer in there, and we just got to get to it. Well, whatever's going on there is more abstract. We found material that can deconstruct under radiation and then rebuilds itself. That's impossible. We found green leaves dating back to the Eocene, which is impossible. And then you take them out and they dry out. It's like, okay, that's what are you doing hundreds of feet down in a mesa? They found ceramics with atomic layering, you know, amazing material. I'm not privy to a lot of that. I know a lot of that is coming out soon. Some of the materials they found in the mesa, but they also found, like, I think, a penny deep in the mesa. What's that? Were people down there in the past? I think it was like 1920s or 1930s, 40s, something like that. Penny they found in there deep in the mesa. How can that be there? Who put it there? Was it there? Was the mesa, did it used to be open? Or is there that have something to do with time? Or is that the phenomenon showing us something?
There's some type of, like, by the sound of this, it sounds like there might be some type of mine or something down there. Like, I mean, if it's collapsing in on itself, that would make sense. A penny would make sense.
Yeah. So whatever's going on there, I think it's more abstract. I think we want the visual of there is an object in the mesa. We got to get to it. Whatever is happening there and the things coming out of it, I think it's more abstract than that. I mean, it could just be simply, yeah, UFOs there, you know, some craft crashed in there a long time. It could be. Absolutely. But I think we default to that because we're drawn to the unknown, but we don't want a nebulous answer. We want, here's the unknown and here's the known. It's a craft.
Because it's just like, you know, as an outsider looking in, you know, we're familiar with, you know, there's a show on TV called, it's, what was it? Not Skull Island, but
Oak Island.
Oak Island. There you go. It's in Canada as well. I should know this. But The Secret of Oak Island, and it feels like they keep leading you on every season. You're just like, we're going to get it. And like, the more I watch Skinwalker, the more I get this feeling now that I'm like, can't we just like get in there? Can't we just, you know, we have, it seems like we have the financial resources to get this done. But then, you know, the machinery starts breaking down, or like the technology starts going haywire. It always feels like a convenient sort of thing that happens that protects this area, and convenient in the sense that, like, this is also the area that people want to see on TV. So you understand my slight frustration. Not I'm still entertained by it thoroughly, but there is this feeling, and I think a lot of people also feel that to a certain extent. What part of that for you is completely true? That, yeah, there is that factor here where we just want to, you know, film a TV show and we have to be careful? Or no, there's just no way of getting in there. Like, what is that?
So, among the people who are on the show and among the different scientists, the people on the team, we get frustrated because, first of all, the amount of shows they put on, you can't show all that happens. A lot of times the editor,
Because there's just too much.
there's too much.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the editors will pick and choose, and they'll say, so it's not the team. It's the editors will say, well, hey, we think this over here makes for compelling TV. And it's like, but this thing that doesn't seem like, again, it's a lack of decomposition, time being frozen, desert trumpet plants growing in wackadoodle ways in certain areas. Some of these things that have happened. I can only allude to it because they might use it at some point. We caught a flying mammal on camera that doesn't exist. And I'll just say that much. It's like, I did ask Brandon to be able to say that much, but they might use it. But it's like, that's huge. Why aren't we saying that? Well, because some of these things are more compelling and they're going to draw people in more. And it's like
A flying mammal.
the powered flight, no, not a bat, not a flying squirrel,
Yeah,
flying mammal.
I'm running out of options here.
Doesn't exist. Long face, long, weird, curled in whiskers, almost like a binturong. If you ever see those, curled in whiskers, long tail, not a webbed tail. And so I probably shouldn't say more than that, but we've got it documented. So keep after us if they don't let us put that in the show, then I'll say, hey, Brandon, can we please get this information out there? Because if
But it seems like scientific discovery is then taking a back seat to
on the show, but not on the actual investigation.
No, but okay, so you guys are investigating
year
it
round.
in a really formal and professional capacity. You're just not releasing that information.
Correct. And and some of it, I mean, there's some of it's just barely off the ranch because the whole Uinta Basin, where Skinwalker Ranch is, it's almost like a funnel, and like the most happens on the ranch, but that whole basin is weird. People were seeing UFOs all the time. People were seeing weird shape-shifting things, but it seems to the epicenter is the ranch. And I mean, Caleb and Nathan had me come out, a few weeks ago to check out this cow that died and wasn't decomposing, and no bloating, and we were documenting. And it was just barely off the ranch, and it was healthy and just died. And they're like, "What's this?" And nothing, no scavengers would touch it. So we put game cameras up on it, and nothing was bothering it. We had a raven come up and like, and a coyote came up to it and ran off. Don't know what that means, but I mean, these kind of things aren't going to end up in the show. That one was just barely off the ranch. So there's so much year round that's happening there. And the Skinwalker Ranch insiders, that helps, where we can year round have people keeping eyes on the cameras.
Through, yeah.
But there's a lot that just probably will never come out.
What's something that you would do differently if you were in charge of all this? And I'm not saying that in a way that like you
one
know
at a
better
time.
than anybody.
What's the fork?
But I'm curious about like where your head's at. What would you prioritize?
I would say let's make a list of what we do know, or here's the known rules of the universe. Here's what we think the rules on the ranch. Like I told you the thing about decomposition.
Yes.
What do we think the rules are? And let's test what we think the new rules are. There's a lot that just probably will never come out.
What's something that you would do differently if you were in charge of all this? And I'm not saying that in a way that like you know better than anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about like where your head's at. What would you prioritize?
I would say let's make a list of what we do know, or here's the known rules of the universe. Here's what we think the rules on the ranch. Like I told you the thing about decomposition.
Yes.
What do we think the rules are? And let's test what we think the new rules are. And each of our fields, let's go through and say, let's, specify some new experiments to test whether or not these new perceived rules are the rules. That's what I would do. That's what I would focus on. Maybe not on camera, but that's where I'd put my effort.
Yeah, because it seems like that's pretty substantial in
Where
terms
is it?
of
Where is it?
just specifically the decomposition or the, I guess, halting of decomposition or slowing down, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Could essentially be very beneficial for studying things.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if we had the ability to mummify things in a way that preserved their organs and didn't necessarily destroy the tissue, I feel like that would be a breakthrough for paleontology, for biology, for all types, and even perhaps, you know, answering some of the questions on, you know, the preservation of youth or the longevity of our own lifespans.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, it feels related.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever it is, you know, we should have a better understanding of it because it's not just it's internal and external.
Wow.
And other life forms. Again, if scavengers coming up are like
deterred,
what's doing that? So, and we the cattle mutilations too. It's like I was so skeptical of cattle mutilations growing up. You know, I've heard about it my whole life. But then as I've started both on the ranch and as I've talked with other people in other cases, and MUFON has a really good record of them, and they've helped me. And I've gone out to some of these sites, and it's like, there actually is something to this. I did not want to admit that. I'm admitting that. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But there
What the
absolutely
fuck?
is something to it. Why? Why cattle? And the joke is, I don't know if you remember the Star Trek where they went back to get the whales. There's a Star Trek episode where they go back in time. There's this probe that comes from space and it's shooting this beam at the Earth, and it's like causing all this chaos in these oceans. And they turn out, well, it's trying to communicate with whales, but we've made whales extinct. So they go back in time and bring some whales back. And like Spock says, if we were to assume that this message was meant for humans, that shows our arrogance, because maybe it's for another life form, and it was for whales, right? So who knows? Maybe cattle are what matter. Maybe aliens are coming from somewhere, they don't care about us, but they're curious about cattle.
Yeah, people in India would be right about a lot of things in that case.
Yeah, which I don't say that's what it is, but I'm just saying you got to be open to the possibility you're wrong, and you should listen. Not every theory is going to be equal value, but it is valuable to hear it, even if it's wrong.
The bovine is a sacred animal in many cultures. It also is one of the only species that we're sort of compatible with in like, I believe like the plasma or something to do with the blood, like bovine blood, especially I think fetuses. And I'm not a biologist by any means. But
Is it fetuses or feti?
Similarities there, as well as even.
How long will it take to make it, Yuki? 14.8 billion years. Yeah, this one's taking a hot minute.
As our own, and so like there's all this like overlap between us and
I'm figuring it out.
Seems to be related, and if that's the case, then you know, it I don't know. It makes for interesting speculation.
Yeah.
I had a guest in here recently that was talking about, you know, his alleged alien abductions, and he was then sort of deferring to the idea that they feed on blood somehow, like, but it's consumed not orally, but like
absorbing
fetus
it.
is plural,
like
fetus
or whatever.
And
that
it's less exciting.
It would make sense that their blood would be sort of compatible if we are related to these species that are taking these cows or whatever it is, or taking their blood. But
the desanguination
is just, I think, the most bizarre part of all this, because there's never, even in winter, that's what like blew my mind.
Yeah.
I live in Canada. We get a lot of snow. I take a piss in the snow, you're going to see it, right? Let alone if a drop of blood touches the snow. These things have no blood in them, and there's no blood around them, no tracks leading up or going to or from them. No struggle. They're just dead on their side, you know, with these holes bored in them and with no blood left. Like, what are you supposed to make of that? You know?
Like how do you frame that in a way that makes any sense? And I think hearing way out there theories is important, because even if it's wrong, it's going to get you to think outside of your mindset, and then you're going to make the real connection of what it is over here. So I think it's good to hear all these things. They're thought experiments. Even if you don't agree with it,
experiment on my thoughts, baby girl.
But tell me anyways, because I want the thought experience, because it's gonna get your mind going. Because we work in these bubbles, you know, and you need somebody to think outside of the box. and to share a different perspective to help you make new perspectives that are different than the perspective they're sharing.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
I don't have a working theory on what the cattle mutilation thing is. Again, my brain goes to 1990s UFO, picking up a cow, and that's the visual I get. Same thing. You say portal, bam, Rick and Morty appears in my head. Well, whatever it is, the phenomenon is real. It's verifiable. Not every case is, but it absolutely is. What is it? I don't know. And I feel like my theories are painfully lacking on what it could, what it
Their
really is.
hypotheses.
Their hypotheses. And, of course, the brain goes to, non-human intelligence, but it could be something totally abstract that we don't even know.
Right.
Absolutely could.
Could be some other primitive life form that is intelligent in its own right, but that has nothing to do with our type of intelligence. That's so fascinating. I'm very fascinated by all this. In terms of other biological anomalies that occur on the ranch, what else sticks out to you? I know you mentioned something about plants. Is there any, flora?
So one of the things we found, there's a region, we call it the runway, and it just, the plants grow in what looks like a runway. We don't understand it. And there's a plant, it's called golden hairy aster. It's kind of a wild name there.
Would you
But it's this
guys
plant that grows there. And what
want
we
my
found
golden
is
hairy
on
aster?
either side of this runway, it was growing normal.
If I
And
give
in
you
the
a
runway,
bouquet of
the
them,
leaves were growing. It
would you
looked like they had
accept?
been radiated. They looked all like withered and like. So when radiation hits a life form, it mutates the cells,
No,
and
thank
a cell is
you.
just reproduce, and if you get the wrong code, you start
Man,
growing,
fuck
you
this guy.
become cancerous.
Erratically,
And erratic. So they were doing that, and I thought, well, would the acidity and the alkalinity be different? And so it should be in the ground. So we took samples from the ground from these plants and checked them, the plants themselves and in the ground, and we did
All
find
right,
a
brethren,
difference in the alkalinity
I
and the
must pee.
acidity based off of in the runway.
No,
and, of
never
course,
mind. I'm not in the
either
mood for
side of it,
chili now. Thanks,
right
Yuki.
beside it.
And we didn't, we
We're
want to go
back.
back and do this. I want to also test for like isopods and small arthropods in the ground. Let's see, are they growing differently? Are they affected by this? There's one plant that I love. This plant, it's called a desert trumpet plant. It's in the buckwheat family. If you research it, you're going to get a lot of misinformation because it grows in these weird bulbs. And there's this one guy like in the 70s wrote and said, "Oh, this wasp burrows the hole and then it goes and grows that way." That's not why it grows that way. They do that after the fact. But it's such a strange and specific plant that Star Trek based an alien life form off of it. It's a really cool plant, but it grows in a mathematically perfect way. I wrote up the formula for the growth, like if you were going to code it into a computer and replicate it. And on this one part of the ranch, it would grow the first stage normal, go to the second stage normal, and the last stage it went like totally crazy. And the next year they did not. And so so plants grow in stages, and so the assumption is that there was an energetic event that happened, kind of like with this golden aster. Something happened that year at this one growth stage. Something did it, and that's the same field that the falcon disappeared on and then reappeared over the triangle. So, so the plants are telling us things too. The plants are, if you look and listen to what they're saying, the plants are, the arthropods are, the frogs are on the ranch. We talked about the magpie nest. Yeah, that we built, or was that?
I think we talked about that at breakfast. If you want to go back to that, because I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. So on that north-south, the path of the skinwalker that goes.
Let's lay the land here a little bit. The path of the skinwalker. What is that exactly, and why is that an important place?
So, without getting too much into politics, and again, every tribe is going to share their history through their own voice, but the general, what is told is that in the past, the Ute tribe and the Navajo tribe, the Dene, had some beef and had some bad things happen between them. And so the Navajo cursed the Ute with the path of the skinwalker that goes from the south, from Navajo land up north to the Ute reservation, which runs right through Skinwalker Ranch and along a very specific path. And the ranch has a fence line going along that path. And there's petroglyphs on this path. It's a very specific thing. It's not just, loosely the path of the skinwalker. It's literally.
Have you walked this path?
Yes. Yes.
Anything weird happened to you?
Constantly. I mean,
really?
that's where, that's where Lots of cattle mutilations have happened there. If you watch the show, the big hole through the tree happened there. And the magpies build a really specific nest. They make a like a clay nest, like a robin, and then they make a stick nest around it with walls and a ceiling and a front door. It's very specific, very recognizable. And on this path in this tree right next to it, they build it, but they build it wrong. Like their orientation is wrong, their under axis is wrong, and so the eggs fall out, and they lay more eggs. The eggs fall out, they lay more eggs, and they do it every year. They'll build a new nest, same thing, and it's all crooked, and the eggs keep falling out. So happens again and again and again every single time. And
What do compasses, do they act up in that area as
about
well? Or they're
yes,
so there does seem to be like a geomagnetic anomaly there.
yeah, but the weird thing is, like a regular compass will about half the time be messed up there, and half the time it works. But if you have a digital compass on your phone, the anomaly is like, oh, really? And it'll like spin it and make it just do all kinds of crazy things. Meanwhile, you have a real compass and it's like, okay, I'm messing with you a little. But if it's
Brethren, I have some kerosene hummus, so I'm gonna mute while I'm munching, but we shall carry on.
digital, it has a
Oh,
heyday.
see ya.
It goes
Huh.
wild.
2
Absolutely wild.
a.m.
That's so
Shit.
silly because this should not be related. Huh.
No. Yeah, what does digital have to do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. So this, I mean, this is so. This makes me want to go out there. Do you ever think? Like if I went there? Do you think they would give me a tour?
If we connected with Brandon,
Yeah, I have his phone number.
yeah,
We've spoken maybe a year ago because I have some friends out in Utah as
Mhm.
well, and they know Brandon, and they're putting me in touch and whatnot. But I know he's a busy guy.
yeah, he's really cool, and if you can get him and he's busy, he'd probably be open to that. It's not just like open for business, but
No, of course.
he loves to help people get a beat on it and understand and help push this information out there. So I think he'd be very open to it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'd be interested. There is the one concern that the audience keeps bringing up with this stuff, as well as friends who talk to me about it, is this hitchhiker effect,
Mhm.
and that is this idea that by visiting this place, you are then opening yourself up to the phenomenon in a way that will follow you
Mhm.
back to your home. Have you experienced the hitchhiker effect?
I'm one of the only people who has not, and
Hmm.
I'm grateful for that. Just about everybody who I know of, who's like the main team on the ranch. There's other contractors that maybe come like once a season kind of thing, but just about everybody I know has had some sort of some sort of a hitchhiker effect happen to them, and I haven't. I've had, I think, more strange things happen to me on the ranch, kind of in the paranormal, kind of more of like in the ghostly type stuff than most people have that I've talked to. But off the ranch, I've had basically nothing.
What's your explanation for that? What makes you immune?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I come in really wanting to understand, very much so. I don't come in as a believer, but it's like, hey, there's something here. I want to understand it. And I very, very much want to understand it. And that's what I love about it for me. When I had this opportunity, I jumped at it because I thought, I don't want an anecdotal story. I want to know firsthand. I want my own photos, my own data and for anybody else, now it's anecdotal to them. I'm sorry. And if you don't believe me, I don't care. That's fine. I salute you. Great. You don't believe me? Fine. But I'm just sharing the experiences. Take it as you will and do what you want with it. I'm just reporting back because I've been grateful for this opportunity and I want to share as much of it as I'm allowed to. And I want other minds on it. I want other people because think about it. I'm making assumptions that
Hmm.
might not be connected. They might have not a jaguar might be totally unrelated. It might just be coincidental. If there's a jaguar running around up there, that could be a totally unrelated thing. And Ben, the biologist, says, "Oh, this is connected." Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
And so having other people talking about this and questioning it is good.
So you think your open-mindedness is warding off this hitchhiker effect to some extent?
I think it is toning down the trickster element. I think I've had a lot of
Think about it this
experiences,
way,
some of them I
Rando.
don't share publicly,
She can't fuck a
that
wolf.
seem to be like it's trying to show me and teach me. I've had more teaching moments, I think. I think a lot of the people have come in with healthy skepticism. A lot of them have no background in this kind of stuff. It's just like raw regular science, and so they're just highly skeptical, which is good. Well, I always say don't don't be a skeptic, be skeptical. A
Mhm.
skeptic is a predetermined. I
Yeah,
don't believe.
pigeonholing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say, show me the evidence and let me make my assumption. That's good. It's
Sure.
good to be skeptical. But I think there's so many people who come in so brash and they don't want to be made a fool. I don't care to be a fool. If I'm wrong, oh, I was wrong. Okay, let's recalibrate.
Yeah.
I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind that. And so I've had a lot of instances where kind of the trickster element. I think among everybody there, my phone has been hacked in the least. I think it's only happened twice. It was like the first season there.
That's so crazy to me that your
Mm.
phone's been hacked in twice and it's happened the least.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so.
People have to replace their phones.
If I'm going there with my phone, you're saying there's a 100% chance that my phone will act up?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
Especially
I would document the hell out of my phone.
yeah. Get a second phone and film it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Or a
literally.
camera, not a phone to film my phone because that'll act up too.
Yeah. But yeah, and some people it ruins their phone completely and scramble it and they have to get a new one. And so it's.
So you're saying that the phenomenon is obviously aware on some conscious level
It behaves that way
of what your intention is.
and it knows ahead of time.
And so, what do you mean it knows ahead of time?
It somehow it can anticipate. If you're going to do an experiment, it knows what the experiment's going to be.
Do you ever have things that happen to you before going to Skinwalker Ranch that are sort of in hindsight, you go, oh, it was preparing me, or it was showing me, or it was telling me something?
There's been things that might just be synchronicity. It might be
Right.
you're seeing what you want to see, and I can't rule that out.
Mhm.
But there's some things where like I'll meet somebody or have a conversation ahead of time, and then I get to the ranch and
It'll feel
the
just totally synchronous.
lines up, which that could just be coincidence.
Could be also like a synchronicity generator happening type thing. Like, I mean, I wouldn't completely put it past, like, if we're also delving into this sort of paranormal or transdimensional, hypotheses, then, the idea that synchronicities might also be enhanced in and around this place, I think would be fair to say.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so the best.
Speculative
I'm trying to, in my head, I'm
zoology
trying to like build up
is
armor here
diabolical, but also
for
kind of
the
true.
eventual trek to
Yeah.
this area, and I might, I think I do have a healthy balance of skepticism, but open mindedness, and this is actually helping me prepare because I hear about these stories, and although part of me wants to chalk it up to confirmation bias, to a suggestion, because suggestion is very powerful as well. Like if you're completely against being hypnotized and you're like, I don't believe in hypnosis and you'll never hypnotize me, and then, which you're right, you won't be able to, but then if your best friend who you've known since you were a child, I hypnotize them in front of you, something in the back of your mind and your subconscious changes.
Yeah.
You might still say, well, he's just, in on it, or you'll never get me, but something fundamentally changes to where now you're able to being hypnotized.
Yeah.
And so I think about that a lot when this hitchhiker effect occurs and you have these skeptics going in, these staunch sort of debunkers, and they're the ones who seem to be affected the most.
And attacked. I don't like saying it. I mean, because I love everybody everybody I've met up there who works both the people doing the research and people doing security and even the film crew. I've worked with film crews on other projects, and it's like there's always some drama, right? Zero drama. These are good people. They're sincere. A lot of them are skeptical too, but they're like, hey, we're just gonna film this and document this. Good people. But I have seen that if you go to the ranch, go with a teach me. Just come with that
Sure,
attitude.
yeah.
Be like, hey, I'm skeptical. I'm not a skeptic. I just want to learn. I want to experience. I want to feel. And I understand I might have a little confirmation bias that might be kind of leading me on. I'm aware of that, but still teach me. And it'll show you things. But if you, and like me, I mean, that's always been my attitude, right? But like, this is the portal story.
Sure, yeah, let's get into this.
But this is one of those ones where I kind of questioned it and what happened. It was kind of interesting. So me and one of my friends, Charlie, we were there, and it was nighttime, and we said, let's go do some astrophotography. And
Man, that really hit the spot. Alright, now that I'm done munching, let me do a little explaining to catch up those who weren't here at the beginning of the stream. Skinwalker Ranch is a highly anomalous area in the Uintah Basin in Utah. And this place was believed to be important to the natives of the region, the Utes. Um, and so there's been weird shit happening on this ranch for forever. And basically, some billionaire bought the ranch, I think in the 90s, and did some experiments and research on it, but it was private. And then this next guy bought the ranch, also a millionaire or whatever, and they're publicizing it. But the name Skinwalker Ranch comes from just the weird anomalies and people, I guess they're blaming it on skinwalkers. I said in the beginning, I don't think skinwalkers really have anything to do with it, but there is some sort of like weird phenomenon happening. Millionaires terrifying. Well, they could fund all the projects, they could fund the science. It's close to nothing to do with actual skinwalkers. I believe later in this interview he's going to bring up something about the natives, but I'm not sure like what he's going to say. There's so much to this ranch that's like not publicized on like the show that's like really crazy. Some like kind of paranormal stuff, some and like they said with the dire wolf situation, that's really weird. And some people think, when they spot a critter that seems kind of wolf like, but there's just something off about it. Like it's too big or it's too human or it's too aggressive, some shit like that. They say, oh my god, it's a skinwalker. Not even a dire wolf. Right. They're very heavily dropping hints that that's what they think it could be or related to. But also at the same time, like dusting their palms and being like, but we're not saying it is. But we're not saying it is. We just have some very sus evidence. Like, okay, bros. So the name just comes from the weird phenomenon, but the weird phenomena you can't just definitively say for a fact it is skinwalkers. What's also interesting is that the concept of skinwalkers comes from a completely different tribe than the ones in this area. But it's more gray wolf than dire wolf, if anything. No, what they said is, um, it's 10% gray wolf, 90% something else. They don't know what it is. They can't identify it. And on the actual show, there's evidence that like led them to believe that the closest living relative would have been a dire wolf. They don't know what it is. They cannot definitively say dire wolf or not. That's what there was something, I forget what it was, because mind you, I haven't watched the show in like over a year, maybe even 2 or 3. Yeah, they found like some sort of carcass. At first they thought it was a wolf, but when they examined it, some shit was off. There's something to do, I think, with the job. I can't remember. Anywho,
It's a great night, milk your way out. So we went over to this area, and we put up our cameras, start taking pictures. And this isn't important, but I share it as part of the story. All of a sudden, we heard something going along the creek. And maybe it was just a coyote or a raccoon, but all the frogs and crickets stopped, and we got this kind of creepy feeling.
oh
Great, who
hell
cares
no.
about feelings? Feelings. But anyways, that kind of creeped us out for a bit. But then it went away and that feeling got away and went back to normal. We got all these great photos. We're having a good time. And I said, you know what, Charlie? Sometimes this ranch is really creepy feeling. And sometimes, like right now, it just feels like a regular, beautiful old ranch in northern Utah. He's like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like right now, it's just a cool, beautiful place at night. And the second we both said that, we hear a sound. And it's if you shoot a 22 bullet across the desert, that and
The
also, if you've ever been
skinwalker,
on a
the
frozen
biggie's gonna
lake, that doo, 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 boom, boom, that
Yep.
flap.
breaking sound, it was those two
You're pretty good at
sounds.
those sounds, by the way.
It's those two sounds together, and we both turn to it, and we look over and about 8, 9 feet up, I don't know, like 20, 30 feet away, we see, and it had already started, we see an expansion ring coming out. Now, it was lit, but it was not
It's lit.
self-illuminating. It was like it was expanding out so fast horizontally that if you've ever seen like explosions in slow motion where the shock wave that comes first will
Right.
sometimes compress and make water vapor,
Okay.
that's what it was. It was a water vapor ring from the speed of it coming out, and it was illuminated by the stars. Like it wasn't light. It wasn't producing light, but it was reflecting the starlight out. And we're looking, we just see this and we're like, and and it probably was about 8, 9, 10 feet out when we looked over. And it got to about 40 feet. And we said, oh, let's get out of here. So we packed up our
Let's
stuff
get out
and we
of
start
here.
walking towards Homestead 1 and the command center right next to each other. We're going towards them, and all of a sudden, the command center, the lights go and go off, and then go back on. And Tom came out, and he's like, "Hey, I was looking for you guys. You guys okay?" And we said, "Yeah, the power just went out." He's like, "What do you mean? I was in the ranch house. The power didn't go out." And we're like, "No, it went off in the command center." He said, "That's impossible. They're on the same breaker. If one goes off, they both go off." And we're like, "We just saw this." And so I don't know what to make of that, but I kind of take it to mean that the rancher was like, "Oh yeah, just a normal ranch, huh? You know better than this. You've experienced too much already. How dare you say that? I'll show you." Maybe that's not it. Maybe it's totally unrelated.
Some explosion out there,
Mhm.
some weird EMP bomb, or like,
Yeah.
I don't even
Let me
know.
just
But whatever.
unless they show evidence that 100% proves skinwalkers, I doubt their existence. Can we come together as a class for a moment? Just have a little chat. Do we all understand what a skinwalker actually is? Do we know what they are? Cause like they existed. I don't know if they still do. Which is correct. They are they're called witches. Foreskins. We'll do a little blip, little informational segment about skinwalkers. This comes from the Navajo tribe. These people that were referred to in English as best described as witches, they partake in some extremely horrible rituals. Pretty much, in a sense, sacrificing their humanity. So they make you do really terrible things, like you might have to off a very important person to you. Um, SA, family members or important people to you. They they do a lot of horrible things. I can't actually say it on YouTube, but where the skin part comes from is they would wear these animal pelts. And I guess they were perceived to be shapeshifters. Whether or not that's actually true is to be debated. But they're said to take the form of this animal that they're wearing. So the modern lore is you'll see some sort of critter like a coyote or something that looks a little bit off. You'll get a creepy feeling and that's a skinwalker. Well, that's not a skinwalker. The tribe existed, but the skinwalkers themselves never did, I think. I guess the shapeshifting never did, rather. Right. So these are real people that did really horrible things, and that's why the Navajo tribe don't like to bring them up, don't like to talk about them, because they're horrible. Like, for instance, if you feel really sensitive talking about like the actual World War II Nazis, they were child's play in comparison. Child's play. They look like saints in comparison. They're really not good people. When I'm in a gaslighting competition and my opponent is some quirky motherfucker from history whose fan fiction became folklore, not the not deer have more evidence than the shape shifting witch part of skinwalkers. Huh. Also, I can't speak for Wendigo. I don't remember, and I haven't really looked into it. So I'm not going to talk about those and what that means. But I know that I've often heard them two conflated together. And what I'm talking about is like a bunch of like documentation from an expert that studied the tribes and interacted with the tribes. I don't really care about the witches, TBH. The not deer version of Skinwalker is what I like. Oh, trust me, I know, baby girl. I know what you like, you freak.
Whatever it was, I mean, the timing was immediate,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Supernatural
sound and just
cannibals.
that expansion, and I don't think it was the same thing, but you understand in the Bigelow era that they documented vertical portals and
Yeah.
things coming through them. So I don't know if that's the same thing, but
In hindsight, would you go towards it?
I would have now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you told me, "Hey, you're about to see this, go towards it," I would have. But I was too spooked at the time. It
Of
it
course.
it shocked me too much. There's things like that
I
on the
would have
ranch.
probably had the same reaction, like, let's get the hell out of here.
Hmm.
In hindsight, you go, God,
Yeah.
should have walked towards it.
Well, same thing. We'll hear voices on the ranch, and usually you walk away from them.
Mm.
Sometimes walk towards
What
them.
kind of voices?
Well, my first one, wait, this is at Homestead. This is Homestead 3. It's the far west end of the ranch. And Tom and Candace is my first time there, and they're taking me on a tour around. And there's a Native American medicine man there with us, and he was
Oops.
blessing the dog who lives there, who had been attacked the week earlier. And I'm like, "What did it get attacked by?" And they're like, "Dog wolf thing." I'm like, "What? You're gonna give me more than that?" But I was just getting to know them. I didn't know them yet, so I didn't press it. So that medicine man came to give the dog a blessing. He was in a cone. And so then they're showing me
The
around
medicine man or the dog?
the medicine man was giving the dog a blessing.
The cone was on the dog.
The cone
rest
was on the
assured.
dog, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they took me out, and so we're showing Homestead 1, Homestead 2, and Homestead 3, and, I was, I don't know, like 30 feet away from them, and they were
In
showing me
fact,
some stuff, and then I walked away, and I
points
was
finger
looking
up.
out there, and I started
Wendigos have
hearing
nothing to do with witchcraft,
voices
unlike
that sounded
skinwalkers.
Native American. I know
Is that
some
so?
Ute, and when I was 18, I was adopted by the Kikri Cherokee tribe. I speak a little bit of Cherokee. Cherokee is not a Utah tribe in any way, shape, or form. But I start hearing these voices, and I'm leaning in, and I started speaking Cherokee at it. And just like, I mean, that's my default. It's nothing to do with the Ute language, but I'm like, and those voices were like, and they were like, it was almost like they heard me and couldn't see me and started like, "Oh, what is this? And what is these voices?" And so I just like kind of like listening, trying to strain in. And Candace goes, Ben, Ben. And I'm like, yeah. Well, and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. And I told her what happened. I'm like, why were you so worried? And apparently the week before, somebody had been standing in that exact same spot and had been looking the same direction, had gone catatonic and collapsed and had to be taken off the ranch. And so they were thinking that's what was happening to me. It wasn't, but those were the first voices I heard on the ranch.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
If I witnessed you just starting to speak Cherokee into a dark void, I would also be concerned.
Well, and then like my first night on the ranch, This is kind of, and again, this is anecdotal story. So, but I mean, this I'm sharing what happened. If you don't believe me, that is fine.
Sure.
You have your right not to believe me. So, at the time, Eric wasn't living on the ranch; he was coming on and off, and so I was in the main bedroom in the command center, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. You don't have internet working there on your phone, even though it's really close to civilization. And I was like, okay, well, so I'm not really connected to the outside world. I'm alone in this house. Everybody else is in Tom and Candace's house. So I have the lights on in the bedroom, and I'm like feeling a little creeped out, and just feeling a little vulnerable. So I'm leaning over on my side, and I'm just like looking up pictures from the day at the phone. And I got the blankets pulled up on me, and all of a sudden I feel something. I look down, and the blankets are getting pulled off, not like falling off. These are like really coarse, crappy material blankets, not like soft,
Mhm.
silky stuff. And it's like something is pulling them off, and it goes almost all the way off the bed. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. So I grab them and I pull it back up. I'm like, I just got to ignore this. I can't acknowledge this. And so I'm still looking at my phone again, and it starts happening again. And they pull almost all the way off. And I'm like, I literally don't have the brain length, wait to handle this. So I bundled them in my legs, and I'm like, no, there's 100% on the bed. Nothing's hanging off the bed. You're taking me off if you're taking these blankets off.
My
And I just turned
chippy.
on like an
Hi.
audiobook and slept with the lights on.
Oh,
'cause
she
I'm like,
shake her
Yeah,
little
too freaked
noggy.
out.
yeah,
That's one of the scariest things ever.
yeah.
To
First
get your
night
blankets.
there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so all the rest of the nights, I'm like, I need to sleep over here with you guys in
Yeah.
the ranch house. And that was even worse because it was so hot. They had the door open, and they had guns by every door. Tom and Candace made that ranch house beautiful. It was like a beautiful hippie place. It had like prisms in all the windows and stuff. When it was sunset, they're like, it's rainbow o'clock. But they had guns by every door because they're like, yeah, something came in and attacked the dog from the door. So the screen door's there, the door's open. I'm sleeping on an air mattress in there with these guns. And I'm like,
Pretty vulnerable.
I don't like this.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird because it's so creepy, but it's so beautiful.
What?
It seems sometimes so malicious.
Do you
and
want some
sometimes it's just,
snuggles?
hey, come and learn things.
What's your conviction level like before and after? Are you like, did you go in thinking, oh, there's something here, and you left thinking, oh, there's definitely something here? Or were you like, I don't really know what to expect, and now you're 100% in? Like, where's your conviction on a percentage level of the phenomenon being absolutely real, that something is interacting with you?
So going into it, I think I was maybe 30%, maybe 40%. I thought people think it's up here, and I think they've inflamed it up. I think it's probably there's some weirdness going on. It's probably around here, and people like a good story.
Yeah, that's a healthy way to think.
Yeah. And but now having been on the ranch 100%, 500%. I mean, and the thing that pisses me off scientifically is
Pisses him off.
it makes zero sense. If you said, "Oh, here's a place where people see Bigfoot a lot. I don't know if Bigfoot's real or not. I've seen Bigfoot and I don't know if Bigfoot's real." Okay? But if you just said that, or here's a place where we saw a UFO. Cool. But what does that have to do with prehistoric animals coming through portals? What does that have to do with cattle mutilations? What does it have to do with decomposition not happening? These things should not overlap. They're weird enough as they are. They shouldn't overlap, and they do, and I can verify that for myself. So if nobody believes me, that's fine. I know for myself because I've experienced it 100%. And I've seen some of the greatest scientists I've ever had a chance to work with also see this firsthand and see it like make them scratch their heads, and some of them get attacked. So
What's the most important discovery during your time there that you think, even outside of yourself, that was made while you were there?
I th- hmm. That's a tough one because is it more about what is I mean, I think the fact that we've got UFOs on camera, killing a cow, that that's not the most important, but I think that's pretty low-hanging fruit. It's like UFO killed a cow spirals and goes wackadoodle, and then a dire wolf or something bites through its bone. I mean, it's just an odd chain of things. I think there's a lot of metaphysical things. The fact that there does genuinely seem to be portals. The fact that you had lasers stopped I mean, that's maybe the fields of science that I'm not in version of the decomposition thing. It's like shooting a laser at the sky and having it stop or having it split or go into 4 directions randomly. It's a laser. It goes only one direction unless you bend it. That bubble, whatever that dome, that bubble is, it's real. We've dropped things down and had things kind of bounce off of it. We've had drones, when you have the border of it, drones that are trying to do a grid pattern. And I've filmed it with my phone. This thing is like, boom, and it's like it ran into a wall and it's like, and then it has to go back to home base and recalibrate and then go through it. Rockets, you had rockets that, once they hit that, go, and we've had rockets when they come down and they hit that zone and they stay. Oh, I'm going to sit in one place for 30 seconds on a parachute and then go over. We've dropped GPS things in cans out of the helicopter and they seem to bounce off it. I don't understand what it is, but whatever it is, it's really important. And the triangle seems to be kind of the center of it. Whatever that is, whatever that zone is, and we see things going underground. But I mean, I think on my end, watching a falcon go through a portal and come out the other side, that's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I will give you that. Yeah, all of this seems to be really. It's hard to put it into one category, and I think that's probably why. Like
Mhm.
you said, it's pretty frustrating scientifically. Some of this stuff behaves like, oh, it was radiated. Like if you look at the plant life, like you
Mhm.
said, like, oh, okay, there does seem to be some correlation here with radiation,
Yeah.
whether that's some type of beam striking down, whether it's something in the earth that is there that is causing,
Mhm.
is irradiating that area.
But
That could also make sense perhaps of some of the species being a little different,
Mhm.
because if you're mutating cells at a level where you can see,
Yeah.
plants be different, then obviously that might also be true for
Mhm.
whatever's living there.
Yeah.
It might have evolved differently than other predators in that neighboring area.
And when we found it on the elk on the ranch on the game cameras, they have spots that correlate with almost like if you took a dental uh, uh, X-ray
Mm-hmm.
and put it right up at their face and left it on for an hour, and then what it does to the skin and what it does to the hair, spots on them doing that. We've documented that. But the strange thing is a lot of times when you have these spiked radiation levels, come back 4 hours later, it's back to normal. And you know
Yeah, radiation should just be there.
for another 500,000
Yeah,
years, right?
exactly.
And it doesn't. And so is that an issue with the instruments? Was the phenomenon like messing with your instruments to make you think there was a spike? Or did you actually have transient radiating? That's impossible, but is that what happened? We don't know. But the plants definitely do seem to act like it. And again, some of the animals we found, some of the deer and some of the elk.
Yeah.
We've also found,
Or whatever's causing this has similar symptoms to being radiated. Maybe
Yes.
it's some other type of force that we're not
Mhm.
familiar with.
Correct. Yeah.
That would,
Mhm.
I think, make some sense.
Yeah. And again, some of the animals we see, could they just be enlarged? We found on the game cameras a giant raccoon that's got way longer legs. Everybody thought, they're like, is this a bear? And they thought it was a black bear. I'm like, no. And it has this really stumpy tail. And I showed everybody the pictures. I'm like, again, during the Ice Age, we had this giant raccoon called Chapelmelania. And I'm like, okay, is this, I'm not saying it is, but if you had like radiation, could this be just a regular raccoon that got radiated and this somehow changed to
Mutated.
more of a cancerous type growth and more bulbous back and longer legs and this
Fuck
super
it, I'm just
stumpy
gonna
tail?
roll with this.
But it looked just like,
Asparagus.
again, if you see this, if you know biology, but you don't know paleontology, then you don't make this jump. And it's like, well, okay, we had giant 300-pound beavers, castorides. We had giant raccoons, Chapelmelania, that lived alongside the regular ones. Yeah, they didn't turn into this. These lived at the same time. These are gone. We had giant jaguars and regular jaguars. The big ones are supposedly gone. Had dire wolves and gray wolves. Dire wolves are gone, but they lived side by side. And so you got to make that connection. The ecosystems of North America are not intact. I mean, we should have mammoths and camels and sloths and all these things alongside elk and moose and deer and turkeys and all these things.
Hmm.
Turkeys
compelling,
mentioned?
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I can't wait to get some actual, 4K imagery of like one of these things just showing up, or even better yet, a body.
Yeah.
That would be the day, because I think something like that then becomes an international. Um, I mean, it becomes big news in every regard, and not just in the sort of alien, paranormal, UFO regards, but like more of so of like, hey, there are things happening on this earth that are apparently natural, apparently, tied to some event that is creating these little pockets
Yeah.
here. I mean, that itself is equally as fascinating as extraterrestrials to me.
It really is.
Yeah.
It might not catch your imagination as much, but I mean, like whatever this wolf thing is, we have a good chunk of the body. We have the jaw, we have the DNA sequenced, and it's been compared by the most extensive genetics lab on Earth at the moment by every other canine on the planet and all the different dog breeds too, and it doesn't match any of them. And it's a tangible evidence. I got it sitting in my house.
Yeah.
The jaw's sitting in my house.
Do you picture that?
Yeah, yeah. And also, I forgot to mention this. Let me make sure to get you pictures of these too. This
Yeah.
is another. This is another weird thing. See, there's little things like this that are actually big. That these are big stories, but I forget because it's been years. There's been so many things. So that jaw, I cleaned it off, and then I let domestic beetles at home clean it off further, and then I took it back to the ranch. So I had it in like a little Tupperware, a little Rubbermaid container, no lid, just paper towels. It's about this deep, and so I show up at the ranch, and they said, "Hey, come on and have lunch." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to leave this outside." So when you're walking up the stairs to the trailer, there's a little table right there. I set it on that table. People are walking in and out past it. I was in there eating lunch for maybe 10 minutes, 12 minutes. And when I came back out, it's covered all over with lacerations, deep incisions. Now, some people are like, could it have been a rodent? They're not doubled up. They're individual lacerations, and it's sitting in the exact position when I set it down.
Whoa.
It's not like somebody picked it up, cut it, and then put it back in. All around it, just deep, deep, deep incisions. And I asked her, I'm like, did anybody touch this? I mean, did anybody notice anything? No. And like 10 to 12 minutes, eating lunch, people walking past it, and somehow
Wow.
it's covered with lacerations. Like
Noticeable.
no, oh yeah, I'll send you pictures.
You would have noticed that these weren't
absolutely present. Like you'd have to do this with a Dremel or
Whoa.
to do these into the raw bone and have them look like this. You would have had to have done it when the bone was still fresh,
Right.
wet.
Or else it would have cracked.
Yeah. And so somehow these are that way. And I got pictures of the jaw before and after, and it's like, how did this happen? I have no idea. But deep, 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 these big old lacerations, like something just all over, even on the side, everywhere, all around it.
Bizarre.
It just happened in those 10 to 12 minutes.
So abstract.
And yeah, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
Why would something do that? What does it mean? What is it saying? Is it saying anything? How could it happen? I don't know.
What so the one thing that I am sort of leaning towards more
Everybody
of
say
now,
hi to
and, you
Chippy.
touched on this a little bit. You said as we're looking at things, and there's this pendulum swings, we get into science, and now we're looking at religion, spirituality. We get too far into religion, spirituality, we're looking at the scientific explanation. There's this ebb and flow of these two worlds. But something which is more on the spiritual side, and something that perhaps being a skeptic myself, or skeptical, I've now, as my pendulum is swinging back towards
Hi,
this
Kirk.
idea of, okay, there's something perhaps tying the spiritual
Hello,
world
chocolate
into,
chip.
scientific
Not the
world.
government name.
At the heart of that are these Native American, First Nations, indigenous tribes, these tribes that have been here for a very long time, that seem to be at the very root in terms of not only their sort of but for the most part their lore. They're they talk about star people. They talk about all these things that we find in so many different religions and that we're looking at now in the sky. We're seeing a lot of these anomalous, UAP activity, but we're kind of echoing in our own language what they were saying. And so I think they have so many answers for us. Being someone who was adopted by a Cherokee, what do you make of that? Do you put stock into that as well?
I definitely do, especially the tribes in southwestern United States, northwestern Mexico, all the way up to Navajo and Ute, which is, Skinwalker Ranch would be the northeastern range of that. Those people, their stories, their legends, there's something to it, and there's something connecting to some of these paranormal phenomenon, and it seems very legitimate. The more and more I study it, and the more I learn about it, the more I very much see something with it. And you see that with ancient peoples. You can put it everywhere, like the in Australia, the Aborigines. If you look up the Wandjina figures, it's like they just look like gray aliens. Some people say, well, they're water spirits. It's like you put a gray next to them, and it's like this is literally the same thing, and they're all over, and those are like 10, 12,000-year-old paintings. So the tribes here, absolutely, their stories. There's a story with one of the eastern tribes, one of the eastern hardwood forest tribes, and they have a legend of that there was a child that one of the beings from the sky world came down, fell in love with a woman, and they had a child together, and they said, okay, you have to take care of this child and don't ever strike the child. If you strike the child, then Sky Woman's going to take her back, and this child's going to live back with the father and the people he came from. And it's this whole story. And they still, but the grandma did like scold the child and gave him a whack, and so they took him away. And even if that's legend, a legend can be based off of something. And so the people today, they still all will have these ceremonies where they cry and give mourn and sorrow for this sky child that was taken back up to live with this rain spirit that took him up. So you might just be making an incorrect connection, but you're also stupid if you dismiss it. It's like listen to the legend and let it percolate. Think about it. It's like, okay,
Percolate.
gives me a greater worldview, and maybe we can make some connections of understanding.
Do you think they know more than they're letting on? Because I know that a lot of these communities are very tight knit
my
as well,
word.
in that they don't just give information freely to outsiders who are coming in, and that's just what. And you have to, even if you wanted to tell a story, you'd have to get approval from like the elders or like the chief or like whatever it is. You'd have to go to the community and be like, can I tell this story? Can I give them this information? So do you think there's still a lot that they're kind of keeping secret?
I think that in general, loosely in general, yes, with all the tribes, but very specifically Southwest tribes and Southwest United States, Northwestern Mexico. In archaeology, we call it the Southwest Northwest region. Those people absolutely have things that they, and occasionally you'll get them to explain or allude to it. And again, they're using terms that are mythological in the vocabulary, but it's very much very literal on how they, and when they'll leak some of it out and tell you a little bit, it's like, oh, that's exactly fits in with this or that we see in some of these events, and it lines up. The timelines aren't perfect. Oral histories are oral histories. They're not going to be perfect. They're going to change a bit. And what you end up with is you have primordial time. So like if I said, when was Jesus born? That's a historical question. Whether Jesus or not was real, it's a historical question. If I say, when was Zeus born or when was Horus born? That's primordial time. That's time before time. And that's when these legends take place. They could be, the future, the past, 1,000,000 years ago, 10 years ago in the stories. They're told that way, just like when was Zeus born? It doesn't matter. And that's how these stories are, but they have truth in them. They have deep truth in them. And it is true that there's a lot that is, especially in those Southwest, Northwest tribes, there is a lot that only occasionally gets leaked out. And when it does, you're like, wait.
Yeah, and that might be the reason why Skinwalker Ranch is so interesting, because it is where science and spirituality intersects. We're talking about these ancient tribes, that there's, burial grounds there, there's curses, there's these legend and lore that's present in this area. And now we have the world's leading scientists, the world's like the biggest, militarized government in the world, turning their attentions to this, tribal land here that's sacred. And now we're finally, like, the pendulum seems to have met in the middle here at Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see what'll come from that. But I do feel in my gut that as long as we measure with the instruments that we're familiar with, we'll only get undetermined answers. And then that will have to start, adapting the other way and look inwards and have these other ways of measuring things.
Well, and you have to, it's okay to be skeptical, right? And it's okay to say, show me the evidence. But it's like, if you see some
I'm good with
evidence,
this so far.
you don't
We
have to
give
have a
her a test
conclusion, but
run.
you at least have to acknowledge this is some evidence. Like when the rabbi did the prayer on the ranch, and all of a sudden, all at Homestead 2, all of the colors started, the thermal imaging cameras just changed everything. Or when they brought that tribe out and they did a drum circle there, and all of a sudden, like, these orbs were coming into the mesa on camera. It's like, okay, I don't know what that means, but you have to at least say, this is a thing that happened. I'm going to put it in my brain and I'm going to factor it in. Don't just dismiss it, and we may not know what it means. And just because you don't know what it means, that's okay. You don't have to be like, therefore, it's stupid. No, don't dismiss it. Just log it in there and keep that as part of the information.
Should get people to do like some ayahuasca ceremonies there or something. I feel like you'd probably get some interesting
I think they
visions.
need to. I think and I wonder if that may have happened
off camera
without me around.
Yeah.
I know Eric and I really want to do a lot of experiments growing mushrooms and also have people try
psilocybin and I'd be down to experiment with that as well. I think that would be like a heck of a place where you get tuned into some, wild frequencies.
Yeah. I think it would. I think it should be done.
Yeah.
It should be done in a controlled setting,
of course.
where, dose set and setting, have it be
Hello,
very
you
safe.
kids. It's been a while since I've been here.
To make sure it's done well and right, but also to make sure it's not too clinical.
I forgot
to be like, hey,
delete
we're open
the
to learning. We
plane.
want to learn. We got people here to make sure it's safe. But
using locals perhaps in their own methods, and
I think it would be really, really wise to do. And
that would be an episode of Skinwalker I'd love to watch. I'll tell you that right now.
That would be great, actually. That would be incredible.
Well, if Brandon, if you're listening and you ever need somebody to help set it up, I'd be more than happy to throw my name in the hat. Ben, I'm gonna turn this camera on back here. We got some questions from the audience that I'd love to ask you.
Sounds great.
All right.
Audience questions.
So, if you're a member here at Area 52, you get access to a lot of perks. One of the main perks here that a lot of people seem to like is the possibility of asking our guests a question. So I inform them 24 hours ahead, usually 24 hours, and they get to ask us some questions, and then I cherry pick from those. And often, I'll tell you, collectively, their questions are better than mine. I mean, they're, bunch of really interesting, intelligent people coming together, asking questions.
I'm pleased.
It's the greatest way to ask the best questions. So I encourage you guys to do that if you are a part of the membership already.
Changed my user a while ago.
All right, here we go. Interesting question here by Michelle L.P.
Got the edgy voice modulator.
So, this question asks, is there video evidence of active portals at the ranch that is being suppressed?
I don't know if it's being suppressed, but I think suppressed seems kind of nefarious. I know there is footage from the Bigelow era, and I believe we have footage now. I mean, there's things we have seen with the bubble that have shown that. I believe that things have been documented currently that might not be in circulation. But I think suppressed is more of a nefarious term that I would use. But I think there's something that's being held
classified. Yeah. Do you think that?
because I mean, we've documented, you know, with lidar and with different scans, we have absolutely verified, you know, portals, you know, through that triangle area. We've absolutely had, and that's been made public. So I think there's more to it than that. And I know the Bigelow era stuff has not all come out.
Do you think it will eventually, or is that just because it's government?
I don't think.
Probably not for 50 years.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. You're probably right. Okay, good question, Michelle. We got another one here.
The gang's all here. Suki Suki Daisuki. Ah, I think I remember that.
By Perry here, he says, if you had the ultimate evidence, biological or otherwise, to whom would you present it?
The greatest number of people possible, whatever would be the greatest way to get it out there to the world.
Right here on Area 52.
Yeah. That's what I want. As many people. I don't want to guard the information. I want other minds thinking about it. People to be aware, talking, discussing, and all of us collectively to move forward and move upward.
Pause your voice, sir. I am going to tie off the stream by showing you my most recent activities in Minecraft, which I haven't done in a hot minute. So if you don't mind, cutie pies, I'm gonna launch that, give you a brief tour while we finish out this video. Not too much longer left.
And getting new thinking on it.
Do you think there's any of that scientific evidence is currently being withheld because of the filming of the show? Do you think that any of that should be made public?
I think so. Yeah. So there's some things that are just anecdotally held back. Just it's like, okay, well, maybe we're going to put this in later season, and that's that's why I want to be here, is to get some of this out. So yeah, some of it for very simple and not very important reasons are held back, but I do also think that some of the big stuff is held back on a more governmental level.
Really?
Yeah, because we're not all there all the time. There's nobody's there all the time. It's somewhat compartmentalized, and so depending on what experiments are happening, what days, some of the really big stuff doesn't come out till later. And I've had people behind the scenes tell me that some of the stuff maybe doesn't come out fully at all yet, and some of the bigger, more, I don't want to say scary, but more profound things, they kind of sit on and process, like, what do we do with this information? So, so some of it, again, just for basic filming reasons, but some of the things happen because, again, this is a year-round thing.
You think there's like national security implications?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% are. 100% are. You even see some of that on the show. You'll see snippets that show that. But yeah, there's absolutely. I mean, the first season, Travis had to break his NDAs to tell the Department of Defense, like, hey, there might be getting hacked here by either foreign entities or foreign governments, and I got to break this NDA and say that. So there's absolutely things that are held back. 100% are.
Wow. Interesting. I'll be excited to hopefully find out what that is one day. Maybe in person.
Why is it so small?
Probably something we touched on, but this says, while working on the ranch, was there a fundamental biological theory that you felt was challenged? And I mean, this is by Thomas Tom 10. I would assume decomposition being, the big one, but was there a specific theory that you felt was being challenged?
I think that the biggest one is the taphonomy, the science of decomposition. Both, I mean, that even goes back to
Minecraft
times.
This is how I know she's not listening
to me. That would be the big thing of how things decompose and what happens post-mortem. The cow contorting into the dinosaur death pose. That's also a taphonomical scientific thing that is being challenged.
Welcome to my humble abode.
The way tendons and ligaments attach and the way they dry out, it's a cut and dry way. You can only fit a puzzle in a certain way. That should not have happened. And it seemed, the cow spiral, So that the taphonomy of the ranch absolutely challenged, and also the existence of animals that shouldn't be there. That's another biological presence that absolutely challenges my understanding of the modern world.
Have you found any clues
Oh, that's from when I died last.
into the study
So I
of
got
the
like this
tissue
castle with the moat.
that might answer some
Walkway.
of some of those questions.
No, it just seems all
This is
frozen.
my storage room.
What do you mean frozen?
Any tissue samples we've
It's
checked,
my
it's like
portal.
it's dead. It's like it's frozen in time. But
I can't think and talk and listen to that at the same time. So bye. Another portal. My vaults. Alright. I have a little weed operation here in the back corner. Just cuz. Alright. Do we want to go up or down? Choose your poison. Came back at the perfect time. Up. Bam. Up. Bam. Out, brother. Alright, so we're gonna go down. I mean, out's usually my method. You come down here. This is like my little workshop area, kinda. This is where I got my create mod going. I have some farms, and they feed into this, and then they get sorted, and then they go into a chest. And over here, I got some, like, I don't know, this little encased fans. I could smelt, I could haunt, I could cook, and I just got one little mechanical press here. That's about the most I do with the crate mod at the moment. And down here is, that's where my bowl whores are. Let's go down there. So I got a bunch of chests of bullshit. I have a bunch of furnaces. Place all cattywampus. That's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it exists. This is my boring machine. It's what digs out these tunnels. You're peeking in, it's a fuck ton of cobblestone. That's how I get my ore. I have a water wheel connected to nothing over there. We're gonna go back up. Didn't think the crate mod interested you. Glad it does though. Yeah, it's kind of cool once you figure out what the hell is going on. So, we're gonna go up. I need my thingy back. Accidentally screenshot. I'm gonna press this button. The elevator's gonna come. So this isn't finished on the ceiling. Bear with me. And the walls in this part aren't finished. It is what it is. So I go up to the base floor. That's where all my shit and stuff was. The storage, which we'll see. There it is. There it is. And up here, this is where the magic happens. This is my kitchen. I got a lot of food. I got like ingredients in these storage thingy madoodles, onion, potato. Got my cooking apparatuses. As a matter of fact, where my potatoes at? Hey girl, where your potatoes at? This is neat. I throw it into the skillet, and as they cook, they like pop out of the pan and they land in this basket and it collects them. Unless I'm standing too close, like just then. Tee! See? There it went. Very cute. Got my cooking pots. More ingredients, rice bowls, sugar, cocoa. Got my cutting board so I could cut things, and as they fly out, they'll go into there. Got a lunch basket that's empty. I got all kinds of foods that you could run in here and eat. Oh damn, someone helped themselves to my sushi, I see! I got all kinds of foods in here. I got food on food on food. Stacked up. Got a bunch of cookies. Those are empty. This is my meat. It's my eggs. My fish. and sea related items. Yeah, this is the setup. This is the stuff. And you come straight across here. Got a little walkway going. And this is the dining room, which is kind of foresty. I thought a little flower forest garden type beat was what was up. And I got some foods here you can eat. You might need a bowl for them though, for some of them. And then we could go right or left. Or if you come out here, this is the front temporary crafting thingy madoodle. You can look out. Right now I just have a fuck ton of trees for farming reasons. Come back around this way. This is my mushroom farm. Caution live munguses. They be mungling in here. And they drop mungle spores. We'll put that in there. So yeah, I got a bunch of mushrooms up in this bit. This is how I decorated it. It's nice and dark and mushroomy. As God intended. I can run around. Come over this way. This is my library. That's how I set it up at the moment. Gold berries hanging, some candles, some little benches that you could sit on. You could sit and read. Can you imagine reading? I've never read once in my life. Once upon a time. Too hard. Yeah, lectern. I think yes, I stuck a little enchanting table over here, but TBH, if I need to enchant anything, I just go to Banky. TBH. I'm gonna come back around this way. 3. This is my magic tier. Unfinished. Come along yonder. And, I got my enchanting shit up on the ceiling. Bust up? Are you talking about my spell? Yeah, it is. Bust up. Alright, I'll show you. But not in my house. So yeah, it breaks blocks. So the way the spell works, if I whip this thing open, so for each amplify, so I have an AoE on it. So instead of breaking one block, it's 2x2. And if I use amplify, it's gonna make the, I believe, it's either that or AoE. Let me see. Okay, no. It's AoE. Boop, boop, boop. AoE. So if you saw down in the basement my big ass hole borer, if I wanted to create like a break that big, it's gonna take a lot of mana. You can make it a bigger area. That's what my bust up is, just to bust up walls. That's what I use to peel the mansion. I'm gonna fly back up yonder. Yeah, so I got my stuff for the books over yonder, little source jar, and this is for the clothing and what have you, the armor stuff. For the magic mod, of course. And then I haven't decided what to do with like these platforms. I was thinking of making them rooms, but then I'm like, maybe that's ugly. Not better than my efficiency 4 shovel. Maybe not. Because everything with the magic has a cost. And even with like all the buffs you can get. So this is what I've been working on lately is this floor here, and I've just been sectioning out the rooms was thinking of making one of these a bathroom. I had a mystery crow that just came out of freaking nowhere. I've never seen one in this area before. And I just so happened to have seeds on me. So he became my friend. This is my pet crow. He's really cute. And this is gonna be my bedroom. So this is really where the magic happens. Yeah, I was thinking of making this like a closet. And one of these like a living room situation. And that's a tour. I have some towers I'm working on as well. Let me change to yeet! And then skirt! So this is what we're looking like. It's a little rainy. This is my windmill that's a work in progress. It's supposed to look like it's on a cloud island, but it's not finished. I'm not done with the cloud, and I also didn't do the roof because I hate roofs. Got towers, and it powers my elevator. So that's how I get from point A to point B. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. It's still a big work in progress, but this is what I've done so far. Let's see if I can catch the tram. Ooh! I'm in. Look at this little guy. Alright, buddy. We're going on a trip in my favorite rocket ship. Something, something. Little Einsteins. Oh wait, it has to wait. I forgot. For the other train. Is the other one still not in operation? Sure isn't. Man, what happened to the ship? I don't see it on the map. I want to take a peek at that. And we're moving. We're at the station. But I'm gonna hang tight just a second so we can get to my old house that I'm also skinning. You guys want to see one of the peeled mansions I did? What are they called? Are they called mansions? Oh, I forgot. It doesn't actually go to my stop. I'm gonna abort when the train stops. Get me out of here. Oh, I don't like the noise. Ow! My balls. Okay. Which direction am I in? Oh, this is peeled. Somebody skinned this. Binky. Oh! I was confused where I was. I take it back. This was intentional binky skinning. Anywho. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Think about it every night and day. I feel like every time I'm on this game it's raining. Spread my wings and I fly away. Look how beautiful it's turning out. Do they still need more hot air balloons in this bit? Man, having an airship as your base is like the coolest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's got a little steam engine happening. Oh, there's another floor. It's so unlit, I'm so scared that something's gonna come blow up my cheeks. But anyways, it's a pretty cool concept if I do say so myself. Is this how you walk the plank? How neat. How neat. Well, anywho, it's been a pleasure today, my boys, my girls, my theys, my thems. As always, be good, eat ass, do crimes. And also, I love you,